But for Falcons and Virtus.pro, not something that they need to worry about to begin with, because they have already secured top 3 between the two of them. That will be a minimum, and we'll see who comes away with one of those top 2 spots on the back of this.
That's a big one though, right? Is whoever finishes in top spot gets significantly more. They get 420, second place gets 300. It's quite a difference there. You know, more than a third extra to pile on if you can get that top spot come the end of it. But honestly, at that point, as the guys also said, no extra points when it comes to EWC. And they've already got themselves a good few points farmed up from stage 1. So sitting pretty for now. I'm more thinking for GK and Fnatic, it'll make a difference later. In this game, well, it's a straight shootout to be in that final, Tim, to have that spot to be the best team in stage 1. It's still a big accolade to walk away with. And I think it's fair to say after last week, there are a few surprises. You know, many expected the G2 will be one of our teams going to EWC. They are not doing that after losing to Falcons and then to Fnatic the following day. So now it's Falcons against all odds. The team that finished in 4th place, you know, a team that very few thought had a real chance of getting anywhere near the end of Salt Lake City, and they were pretty correct. Are in a spot here, Tim, where they could still come out and top the next stage. But first, I've got to get through Virtus.pro, who've been a very, very formidable opponent. Let's get into it here on Clubhouse.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see a replica of this match for the grand final as well. That wouldn't be too much of a shock if we sort of see whoever drops down from here, and that's, you know, not writing off Fnatic or GK, but that's going to be a really tough game for them. Whoever gets through to that lower bracket final, going up against one of these two is going to be a real tough test for them. And like I say, it wouldn't surprise me to see one of these two end up in the grand final from the lower bracket as well as the top bracket. But for now, we need to find out who wins this one and who goes down there to begin with. So we get underway. It's round 1, Virtus.pro versus Falcons. We're going to start off with Falcons on the attack. They've gone with the double denial, the Electro Brawl ban. That's going to take away Kaid and Bandit and just speed up getting through these walls a little bit. And then on the other side, we've gone with a double hard breach ban. So it's going to be slightly trickier and a lot of focus on Hibana to begin with.
Yeah, you're really trying to punish and slow the opposition down by taking away both of those hard breaches, but I imagine Falcons, for the most part, won't be too bothered by that. I wouldn't exactly say they're a fast team when it comes around to their attacking. But anything you can do to slow a team down, as I've often said, does mean you might find yourself being forced into unforced errors later in the round when they're going for the execute. Rorik under a lot of heat right here. Nays, you know, but no one's in the window to be able to challenge him. He will just about get away on this one and deal with that call coming out for the Dokkaebi. But keep themselves safe, and actually, Tim, I'll take back what I said. I know they said they were the quickest team, but here they're really struggling to even get inside the building in the first place. Down with the kill from below, and as I mentioned, Rorik still lives.
Yeah, really easy for Dan there. I think just unaware of his presence underneath, and they lose the Blackbeard. It's going to be, we always talk about when these shields go, they also lose the Dokkaebi along the way as well with users. So it's just going from bad to worse for Falcons. They do manage to find one back. Nako taken out. Rorik as well. What little health he had remaining has been removed. That leaves us now in a 3v3 with Falcons fighting their way back into this one. I would say that my main concern here would be the utility that they've got left, having lost that Blackbeard and Dokkaebi. But honestly, guys, I think they're all right here. They've got the sledge so they can still open up the verticals. They've got Solitaire on the Grim who can really help create that space that they need to get in for an execute, and they can get any hatches that they need with Brede as well. So I don't think they're actually looking too bad.
I hear ya, but I always say that when it comes to an execute, the less attackers there are, the less angles they can cover off, the less crossfires they can guarantee, the less protection there is for a planter, for example. Even the all things being equal at a 3 versus 3, I still largely back the defenders on this one, especially when Skies has got 3 smokes in back pocket with 30 seconds to play. He can essentially smoke off a default plant spot very comfortably, or just toss the whole thing here into bottom main. That also works absolutely wonderfully. And now the Falcons are completely out of utility bar a couple of flashes. They're going to have to pull us into real special here in the execute, Tim. 20 seconds.
Yeah, time's becoming a real factor. Brede is ready to drop that hatch into Moto. Next couple of kills are going to be critical. Solitair's kind of not in no man's land, but he's not really in a position to go in and support. I'm going to take out Brede as he drops. That comes in from Pasha. They can't get around the corner. Dan is there, and Virtus.pro will lock it down. Another kill comes in for Pasha at the end there, and that is going to be 1-0. Defenders take side that we would expect them to keep a hold of. Church and Arsenal locked down, but a good start for Virtus.pro nonetheless.
Yeah, I think, again, just the fact it comes down to the clock is the most important part, right? I often speak about it becoming the sixth man for the defenders, that you see the attackers being forced to make errors that they otherwise wouldn't want to make because they simply don't have the luxury of time to drone, to set up crossfires with each other, to use utility and wait for it to play out. They can't afford to do that. It's why you've got them swinging, for example, on towards that triple church wall breach, trying to get a kill on towards on the other side, but he's sitting waiting. He knows that you're coming. He knows that you've got no choice but to go out in full steam. It's the easiest kill, this exact one here, they'll ever get in the world. They lose a single player in that closing exchange. Virtus.pro, really well played first round. Falcons are going to have to crack that egg a little bit harder next time round. They can't afford to spend so long trying to clear out the top floor and lose 2 players in doing so. Going to have to be a bit more decisive to show more of the Falcons that we're used to.
Yeah, I think that was the big pain point for them last round, was losing those 2 players in that top floor clearance. It just left them, as you say, even numbers-wise, just left them on the back foot. They might have had the gadgets that they maybe needed, but still, it wasn't enough. So we head into round 2. Going to be gym and bedroom. We've got CCTV walls reinforced. We're going to have a presence inside a cache, so we're going to have the full extension that we've come to expect. We've got Rorik on the clash as well. Going to be left on the board, so they're going to take advantage of that and bring it along. Usually we would see the cache playing at the top of red stairs. That is indeed where Rorik is positioned at the minute. We've got Pasha in construction. We've got Dan in CCTV. We've got Neko in construction. Everybody apart from Skies is away from sight at the minute in this extension.
It's all well and good, but how fast can Falcons move through this? We've seen already in the last round how much time they could waste, how much of a nuisance they can be. Looking for more of the same here, and again, look, it's a little bit of a zap coming on through, really trying to pressure him. Right idea, but not quite able to punish, and instead lose a player. I like at least the Falcons were trying to go a bit quicker than previous, Tim, but the result is still the same. They're down a player, and we've managed to see most of Virtus.pro escape back towards site.
Perfect clash play there from Rorik, I've got to say. Just really in control of the angles that they could get onto him. Backs himself away and attracts enough attention that they're able to get a kill at the same time. Brilliant stuff, and he gets himself back safe to site. Neko manages to pick up one for himself as well. That's going to be Doom taken out on that Blackbeard again with 0 impact again. Big problem for Falcons. 1 minute 30, so still plenty of time, but they find themselves again in that 3 versus 5. So they are now seriously on the back foot, having to find the next 2 kills at least if they want a chance in this round.
I've got to say, Tim, I absolutely love watching this Virtus.pro. I have done since this new roster came together. Just the aggression has been introduced to their gameplay. Like, when in history would you have seen Virtus.pro play the kind of plays that we've seen coming out of these last couple of rounds? The aggressive roam on the top floor when we were defending Invasive. This round here, with how aggressive they've been, he even manages to collect one off the back of that. That is wonderful. Dan starting out strong on the map overall, but it is just Virtus.pro running it here. They own the keys to the clubhouse, Tim, and Falcons, they ain't welcome.
Yeah, they've just played that perfectly at every stage of it. That initial extension, the use of the clash, dropping away, getting the entry, taking the Blackbeard out. The shields have just been absolutely no threat and no problem whatsoever to Virtus.pro in those first 2 rounds. And that's something that Doom needs to improve upon if he's going to be bringing those operators. They have to have an impact. And yeah, like you said, Virtus.pro just ticking a lot of boxes right now and looking, you know, I know we saw them kind of struggling that last match against G2 in the regular stage. They lost that one, but then they've come back in, and in playoffs they look like they're just back up to full force now, exactly as we've seen them throughout the better part of stage 1.
And Falcons are the ones that need to figure it out. And the thing is, again, I won't knock them. I think the second round, their attempt onto the clash was good. They had the 1 player charging up red, 2 coming in through CC. They had the right idea, just didn't anticipate Dan walking over the kill that he did. And if they'd managed to get rid of the clash, we were having a different conversation at that point. And as you said, it was very well played by Rorik. Now, you've been enjoying quite a lot of cash yourself. Love it. For it. Whenever we played a little bit of Ranky together, especially on Casino in yellow, you absolutely love playing her.
Love a bit of clash at the minute. It's just such a magnet for attention. Everybody wants to deal with the clash. And some really key principles that you need to learn.
You are a raging narcissist, Tim. You do love attention.
Get it all about me. There are a couple of key principles that you've really got to learn if you want to be a good clash. And I'm not saying I'm a great one. These guys are much better than me. But thinking about your angles and being aware of where you can be pressured from, really important with the clash. And also your distance control, because you don't want them up in your face. If people melee your shield, it gives the shield break, and more often than not you lose your life. And so controlling that space around you and knowing when to back off and how, Really important stuff, and Rorik showed us perfectly how to do it. So let's get into round 3 then. It is 2-0 Virtus.pro. They are controlling things at the minute. They will this time be defending CCTV. And Cash was seen the mirror window played on that external wall, as to be expected, because the mirror has been left on the board. And right now, Falcons, they're going to have to find a different way. It's not the end of the world, because they do have a line of sight into CCTV, so it creates at least a little bit of what they need. But as we can see, they're still trying to work on that wall.
Until we start seeing pressure coming in towards Garage, these players that are extended on the side of Virtus.pro have no real reason to charge back in towards site to try and defend here. Like, why bother? It's the feet. Oh, that's unfortunate for Rorik. Saw the knee, but couldn't quite see the whole man and thought, you know what, I'll try and go for the head here, only to give a bit of a freebie over towards Leakifak. And that's a good start for Falcons, Tim, after they've been chewed up the majority of these rounds.
Yeah, really needed that opener. The first 2 rounds have gone the way of not just Virtus.pro, but have gone the way of Dan picking up those first kills. But Leakifak this time gets involved, and let's see how Falcons can do with a man advantage. But looking at the time, 1 minute 10, they don't have garage control yet. They haven't really got a nice big clean breach on that CCTV wall. They haven't got bedroom control yet. They haven't actually, Des, got anybody inside of the map right now. You don't want to be challenging that angle onto garage door. I tell you what, the Blackbeard can see a real nasty angle up onto that catwalk, and Skies is well aware of that. But as the nade comes in, can't escape, taken down by Doom. Nice play from Falcons.
Done very simply as well, without a lot of effort. Normally you see teams having to invest so much in clearing out a catwalk player, but come back to what I said about a minute and a half ago. Until we had catwalk control being lost, the rest of the players could afford to play out around the map. Falcons have not only got that catwalk control, but also dealt with these players that are scattered around the map. They've done a really good job of it now, which means the ones that we've got left are now sat around site. Pasha at top red, Dan and Nako are both inside of sites itself, with Dan just dancing around construction a bit to waste time. Nitro over the top doesn't quite manage to find Zoom. He is low, but this one might be able to go down unless he inhales one more bit of gas, but no. Finished off, now finally put down on his backside, but here comes Solotov. In towards construction he goes. Nako with it all to do, hits one. So that was risky going at range, but he's got away with it here, maybe, Tim. The clock ain't gonna wait. Is the cross there? Oh, he hasn't got enough damage. Leakifak surviving the shotgun blast and getting the kill. That was a little bit too close for comfort for Falcons, though.
If he has any more damage out of that shotgun at all, he wins that 1v4.
Yep.
Just has to flip over to the secondary because he's low on ammo, and then just can't do quite enough damage. Even just downing that player would have been enough. The other one's outside, about 4 seconds left. Not a chance. That was so close to getting that 1v4. But look, Falcons, they get it done. It's close. It was down to the wire, but they just need to be careful that they don't let those mistakes creep up on them.
I think it's a bit of a sigh of relief for them knowing they got 1 out of those 3 rounds, which kind of feels par the course on Clubhouse. 4-2 split, not feeling like the end of the world, but they're very aware that 3rd round came by not for a stroke of luck, but very close. Look at the HP here in a second, by the way, in Leakifak. If he fries Bride there, this could be a very different conversation, but Leakifak, look, not dangerously low, like about 20 HP. Still close enough that you shouldn't feel too comfortable about it, and that's why we've got attack timeout. They know realistically they could be down here 0-3 very easily. They need a conversation about it.
Part of that conversation surely is going to revolve around where that next ban goes, because there's a lot of utility left on the board. I think to see the mirror, I think that slowed them down a couple of times there. So I think getting that taken away will help speed things up. But because they've gone, we've spoken about it plenty of times, Leo's spoken about it on the desk, because they've gone for that double denial ban, Kaid and Bandit to begin with, so they do bring in the mirror ban. But it's still leaving them with a lot of utility to play through. Look at the other side straight away. You've got the Azami there. You've got the Denari there, who we've seen starting to attract bans on some maps, usually coastline. But sorry, not coastline. I don't want to scare everybody. Usually Chalet, we're seeing the odd Denari ban creeping. But yeah, I just think, it's difficult for Falcons. They take away the mirror, but they're still going to have some really key utility to play into. And Virtus.pro straight away showing that, they're quite happy to take advantage of that.
Left before insertion.
Absolutely, and the bans, as you mentioned, the mirror makes total sense for a lot of it. Monty, you might look at and be very confused by, like, guys, we haven't seen Monty once. Like, why would they use that as a ban? Isn't it a waste? Why don't you ban the Blackbeard that was in June playing the entire half? I think it's more they realise that attack timeouts come in and Falcons will change the game plan. And historically, when we see attack timeout come in from Falcons on the attacking side, in the next round, you'll see Brede jumping across into playing Monty. That is just their go-to. Let's regain control. Let's slow things down here a little bit and see if we can get around over the line, playing things the slow, old-fashioned way. I think just taking the Monty off there is more saying, well, let's take that card away from them so they can't play that one. They might well change something, but it's not going to be a change to bring along a Monty.
Doom straight away wanting to push towards Dirt Tunnel here, attacking onto Church and Arsenal. Already had a few shots fired in his direction, but no damage taken this time. However, Leakavac is going to be taken out behind. It's not behind. It could have looked like the shots over the shoulder of Doom there were going towards him, but I think it was Brede who was with Doom. The kill comes in Garage, actually. Pasha managing to pick up the Ash of Leakavac and then drop oil pit and start moving back. Are they aware of Solotov in blue? I think they might be, as Pasha steps out and gets a set. This is just, they're just farming him here, Des.
Well, not a lot of change on the side of Falcons, to be fair, outside of... That's a lie. They've tried to go more aggressive. They've tried to push multiple angles. They've tried to go in and win their gunfights. But the problem is you're doing so on a day where Nako, Dan, and Pasha just will not be stopped. I mean, look at the kills on the Falcon side right now. The only person who's got more than one is Leakavac. And yes, he was a large part of the reason they've won. The only round they've got on the board right now. Here was handily deleted by, and Pasha has completely owned the blue side of this map. It's not been a concern at all. Can they win a 2 versus 5? You want to say yes, on paper they can. The chance of them winning that 2v5, Tim, is basically 0.
There's the Denari trip connectors having that impact that I spoke about, because the option was not there to ban away because they needed to take the mirror. So it's been trying to be a little bit more careful. See how difficult it is on the steps. Like, you just can't see them until you have triggered them. They've got them covering this hatch. Each one of those would have to be disrupted with throwable utility, like you would with a laser gate, but each one individually for you to be able to drop through there. So it just makes that hatch so difficult to work with. 42 seconds left to go. Nitro needs to hold on to this for a little bit. Sends it out a bit soon. We hear it detonate in the background. 30 seconds left to go. It's a rethink from Falcons.
Okay.
I can't see it being a successful rethink at this point with users down.
It's going to be a successful flawless round at this point, Tim. I think if this carries on, like Virtus.pro have just absolutely deleted them. Users has gone down in the hatch. It really sums up the round. It's been very, very disparate from the side of Falcons, almost in a way getting a bit too... I don't want to say too big for their boots, Tim, but a little bit too confident they can go and win their ones around the map when pushing into different angles, and they have been punished for it categorically. A very comfortable round for Virtus.pro. And they're thinking this could be a 5-1. If we don't find ourselves tripping over on Cash CC again, this is ours for the taking.
You certainly got to be thinking that way at the minute, because Falcons, they just, it's not just about, you know, what utility they're playing into. Obviously, I've picked up on that with the Fade and Bandit bans, and they've got a lot of those difficult operators to try and work their way through. We're seeing them try and do things quite late in the round quite often, which, you know, lines up with having to deal with Castle, deal with Azame, deal with these difficult operators. You got Clash back on the board now. Rorik did brilliantly well. They had no answer to that last time around either. But I just look at it and I think, you know, there's other elements there. Falcons, they don't really look too sharp today. They're not winning a lot of those gunfights. Brede, Doom, Users, Solotov, all on 1 kill each after 4 rounds. That's like madness for those guys. So, yeah, I'll just look at it. I think Falcons, they're a little bit off the pace here on Clubhouse. It's not just a strategy thing. It's about getting involved, winning those fights. They could do with some more entry. They've only had 1 out of 4 so far on the entry. They're kind of losing in all departments right now.
I just think they're really... Honestly, I want to give a shout out to Dark for this as well. For those who don't know, it's a Brazilian coach behind Virtus.pro. Bearing in mind, again, this is a best of 3, and this is Falcons map pick. They were 7-1 on this map coming into this series. And I think you look at it and say, okay, Virtus.pro at 2-2, beatable. But I think Virtus.pro have kind of lulled them into a false sense of security here, and Dark has done a brilliant job counter-prepping the way the Falcons have approached this map historically, because everything they've tried so far has met a brick wall. They have really, really struggled, and I think a lot of it has been built around those 3 key operators that we spoke about a lot: the Clash, the Mirror, and the Azami of Nako, and sometimes Pasha as well throughout the half. Between those 3 operators, they have just constantly caused problems to Falcons, and as of yet, they can't find a way through. Yes, they've won a single round. I'd wager on paper, they probably should have lost it.
Let's have a look.
Let's see if they can win another one. It's going to be the big question. They've got 2 more opportunities to try and get something going. They've brought along this time the Deimos. See if that can make any difference. Skies is being tracked out. I think the Deimos is a direct response to the Soulless. Just going to take out some utility on those stairs. I don't think that was aimed. I don't think he did. I think it was aimed at the barbed wire, and then he knew with clearing the barbed wire to back up, but it gives a route for later in the round. That's like kind of, you know, pathfinding. But I don't think he was aware of Rorik on that lower platform. So going to see that wall has been open now, but Rorik's just going to hold them at bay with the clash, no problem.
I'm just so worried the Falcons have got 3-4 players all focused on main breach with there's 3 separate players watching it. Dan being removed did get a shot in response, so it's not the end of the world for him. But again, this clash is just going to prove to be a little bit of a nightmare. Nako dropping himself away here. That's quite an interesting choice. Bring down towards Skies. Might be around then get over the line here, Tim. They're into a 5 versus 2. Rorik in a bit of spot bother as a nade rolls on in front of his feet, but it's 1 to fall. Nako getting a kill from elsewhere. Choom onto Rorik. Nako's got to get an ace, Tim. It ain't going to happen, I'm afraid. A very good round by Falcons. When they turn the heat on, they get their second round of the half.
Much better from them, much better. And as we've always said with the clash, as your teammates fall around you, that clash becomes less and less powerful because the pressure mounts for you to put that shield on your back, get your weapon out and start to have an impact in the round. So the inability of Virtus.pro to keep themselves alive around the clash was definitely a bit of a difficulty for them there. They never really had control of Leakafak on the Deimos, which was a shame for them. Obviously, we saw Skies get tracked out, so he's getting that location in return as well. He knows that he's, you know, at that kind of stock door area. There didn't seem to be too much of a comm of like, look, you know, Leakafak's over by that. He's not a million miles away from just heading round to cash instead. So he does that and heads towards CC and picks himself up an absolute freebie behind the server stacks inside of CC. But, you know, I think just Virtus.pro giving themselves away a little bit easily a couple of times there. And like you say, getting very magnetized towards that jacuzzi breach and maybe not focusing properly on everything that was happening elsewhere. So we go into round 6. It's going to be CCTV and cash. This one we saw Falcons win last time, and I look at this and I think, you know what? A 3-3 is not really indicative of what we've seen. If it happens,
No.
you know, Falcons will have done an amazing job if they can come away with this 3-3. Like I said, coming into that last round, coming into round 5, we had 4 players on 1 kill each. That's to come away from that situation with a 3-3 half is pretty impressive if they manage it.
I agree, and I imagine Virtus.pro will feel slightly robbed. Again, it feels like the work that has gone into the game and the counter prep against Falcons and the way that they play this map, it's been very, very evident in terms of the operators they've brought along, how they've chosen to play. But in that last round, I think Falcons kept it very simple. Didn't try and control large parts of the map where they've been chewed up and spat out by players like Dan throughout the game. Instead, let's try and go direct towards site. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's not go roamer hunting. Let's focus on playing the game. They left Leakafak to deal with the player out in towards Cash DC. Everyone else focused very much immediately on site, and they flooded once they felt they had a lick of an advantage. It was very, very good and responsive from them to show that they can deal with what it is that Virtus.pro is throwing at them. VP, they will really want to hold on for this round. The Glass of Tube starting to crouch his way around here to try and get at least a bit of line of sight onto what's going on up and towards Catwalk. I believe it's Skies he's got to face off against, but he is on the short angle instead, watching in towards the walls below. It's not with too much of a concern yet against Tune, but once that second smoke comes out, could be a different conversation. Sees his man, but immediately out comes one of those Zotos, just slow them down if they do try and push their way in.
I think Falcons have got some decisions to make in this round with where the utility is going. So we've got Nako on the Clash. They've got a Capitao and they've got a Nomad, both of whom can deal with that operator, but they also want to deal with Catwalk. And we see one of those fire arrows come in. So now that's a bit of utility. You don't have to deal with the Clash anymore. They've no nades on side, so they could well find themselves in a position. Nitro goes out, will be shot out. He's on the stairs, doesn't see him. Solotov manages to get it. Now, there's still one air jab left. No fire arrows, but that could be an option to deal with this Clash later in the round.
Not quite sure what he was going for with that C4. He tossed it straight into his own Zoto, so it was frozen. All it did was give away his position towards Solotov, who was working his way underneath in through the softball. I'm not really sure what the game plan was from Skies. Either way, they've lost that control as we come down to the last 14. 5 versus 4. This one looking very, very dual what they've got on side of concern. They've only got the one smoke canister left. Well, smoke bolt left to be able to support the Glass here. If they do go for an execute on the other side, though, they've still got 2 smoke canisters themselves to play with. Oh, this could get a little bit ropey, Tim.
I think it's going to be very difficult for Virtus.pro from here. You've lost your clash. You've got 3 of them playing basically hand in hand at this point. They're right on top of each other. Falcons can just start stepping in and picking them off one at a time. Freebie for Rorik on those red stairs, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to do from below. We're going to have Pasha picking up June. 3 versus 2. Plank goes down. Ooh. Rorik could not get there in time, so the fight back is on. And this is a tough one to fight back into. However, they are now 2v1. It's all up to Brede on the rappel.
Can they stop him as the edge goes off as well? Oh, I could have had a golden chance there as well, a matter of pixels, but patience being shown. Rorik really fancying himself a run out here. Will he get away with it though? Knows that he's going wide, yes or no? No, he doesn't! It's a freebie, and Pasha has now got no choice but to try and take a fight on towards Brede. Either that or stick it and pray that he can't get the angle. Oh, and he hits it! No way! I tell you what! If you're playing against this guy in ranked, you'd be saying, where are their red boxes? He just knew. Absolutely magic from Pasha to give them the 4-2.
That shot on an SMG is wild. Jesus. Quite simply, I'm not sure anybody else or many other people in EML would hit that shot.
Nope. That was incredible. Let's go to the desk and hear what they think about that half. Wow.
Guys, I'm baffled. What a way to close it and go in halftime, honestly. I mean, we've discussed about what makes VP strong. We've discussed about the cohesion. We've discussed about the strategy, but also the individuals on this. And we mentioned Pasha before. He's so good right now. But let's focus back a little bit on the team play here. And on especially something that the guys have been talking about quite a lot, the bans, right? So Falcons choose to remove wall denial. They get rid of Candidate. They get rid of Bandit. And so what's the follow-up on this is, what is VP going to play? And as you pay attention, you see the Clash, they've played it quite a lot. You see the Wamai as well, utility. You see the Azami, you see the Mira. Anyway, a lot of utility. And so they play behind it really well. In this round 2, they're trying to problem solve the extension into Cash. And as you can see, Hibana is trying to open up the walls. Solid Snake is ready to go up the red stairs. He's facing the Clash, he's facing 2 barbed wires. All of this attention. Look at this. Look at how many Falcons players, 3 Falcons players, are trying to push towards Rorik. He's basically grabbing all of their attention. They're missing one key thing here. Look at Dan, who can take basically an individual gunfight onto Solotov. 3 players are focusing on the Clash. And so what Dan does, he goes aggressive towards server, gets rid of Solotov. Neko then sends a Kiba barrier on his construction window so he cannot get traded. Then Dan basically shoots the extinguisher here, so there's some smoke, and then once again, the Azami comes into place and sends another Kiba on the cash door. That was really well played to help them fall back to that second position. If you look at this, they've burned 1 minute and 10 seconds. It's beautiful. They've got the opening kill, perfect. They fall back to their second position. Second thing that they do well, look at Neko. Look at him hiding here behind that gym bomb. And what is he looking at? He's looking all the way at master window. And so if someone comes back from server onto master window, he can make sure he wins that gunfight. And so it's strategy, it's right utility, it's right positioning. That's what makes VP really strong right now, Jack.
Yeah, it's so good, and you're going to see Dan clean up a couple of these kills right at the end here. And I'll say it often, they put the right people in the right places. You'll never catch this team doing anything just for the hell of it, or taking unnecessary risks. They do everything because it's in the script, because it's in their mind, conducive to the win condition of the round. And I just wanted to highlight Dan, actually. Dan was a big star in that round, but actually the reason I wanted to highlight him is look at that most played defender, Castle. Yeah. This speaks to the game plan that VP had. They wanted to basically make Falcons play through so much utility. They were playing the Castle, the Mira, as you just showed. They were getting banned out. The Azami, the Clash, the Wham, like everything. Even the very final round that they won, we're seeing Skies on the rafters throwing 2 barrel canisters at the garage door to circumvent, to counter the fact that there would be a glass at the garage door. Everything is for a very specific reason that they do, and that's a big reason that they're 4-2 up at this halftime.
Yeah, this feels very Virtus.pro centric, of course. You know, they got 4 rounds on the board already. I feel like it's my job right now to at least help the Falcons fan get a little bit of hope for this game here. I was listening to their comms, and despite things maybe not going so well, you know, on the basement attacks, they were walking back and forth through the narrow chips, and they were just laughing. They were having a good time. So regardless of the scoreline, the vibes seem to be up for Falcons. Now let's see how the second half turns out.
Thank you very much, guys. Lovely breakdown from Leo. Thank you very much. And I think it's fair to say, Tim, we often say this, there are 2 halves to a game of Siege. If you are a Falcons fan and was trying to help you out, but we can help you out too, don't count them out yet. Again, there is a reason why they are 7-1 on this map. Virtus.pro are going to have to show some really creative attacks. I hope Dark, of course, didn't stop at just prepping the defensive side, Tim. He's got to show something on the attacking side here. If Virtus.pro are going to get away with this and go into Consulate 1-0.
To locate a bomb and defuse it.
Tim? Are you sat on mute again, Tim?
Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Good job.
Round 7, we'll see them go to Church and Arsenal again. And it's basically putting them straight in at the deep end on the attack. It doesn't get much tougher than this inside of Siege. Just having a look at the positions of the Falcons players. We've got 3 of them up there on the top floor. So this is a heavy whole map hold from Falcons, and Virtus.pro need to get in there and win a few of these first run backs. They kind of know that they've got one trapped there. It's going to be an opportunity for Solotov to escape here now that the angle's just been left by Skies, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to take that chance, just preventing that further peak coming out whilst his man gets there. I love that teamwork from Virtus.pro, just continually challenging on that window there, Skies, to keep Solotov on the line, to keep him hooked, to keep him interested, whilst Rorik gets into position and picks up that entry. Really good stuff. 5 versus 4.
Just dangling a carrot in front of him saying, come on, you know you want this one. It's just far too easy. Maybe even very early on answering that question of, have they got some ideas, some prep work and some plans? The answer so far would appear to be yes. Now, again, this has been the focus on the top floor, which they're starting to get a bit of a pinch coming in towards Cash TC. This could get very, very ugly. Jesus, of course, can just teleport out whenever he feels, but has to do so in good time. Actually, now that Amonti's bearing down, only Leakback gets him towards one more. The Monty now looking in a very, very precarious position, but Naquo standing firm, at least for now. Pressure still coming on through. Where's that shot coming in from the back? He can't really get the support that he needs until he steps across just in the nick of time to get the support that's required, and they get away with 2 kills. Tim Dan was really hoping to punish Leaky Fat, but will not be given the chance.
Yeah, Falcons have played that really well. Naquo, I think, just slightly aggressive on that one. Put himself in a really bad spot on the Monty and knew that he needed to try and make a play happen. I think he was kind of banking on his teammate getting Leaky Fight, but it didn't happen. However, Doom and Users do get taken out in quick succession, leaving us now 3v2. After Falcons have done all that good work, I don't know how they found themselves in a serious man disadvantage here. The diffuser is down, out of their control at the minute, so that's something Virtus.pro need to deal with. 35 seconds left on the clock is another issue for them as well.
It's exactly the same issue as what I was talking about back in the first half. It does start to become a bit of a problem, and that would have been a golden kill to find too. Maybe we'll have sealed the deal for Virtus.pro team, but now they've really got to figure something out with very little time with which to do it. Could well find themselves being shot in the back as they run through a corridor or anything at this point. Even opening that hatch feels like a massive risk. No shield to play behind as well. And the impact tracking coming out too. They've still got one more to go. Do they know? No, they don't. Breedade's got one more ready and waiting. He'll take it away too. Kitchen will stay close. Instead of being shot in the back, Tim, there's one at the very least. But the diffuser is going down. Pasha has already hit one god shot. He's got to try and find one more. Will it complete? He'll see him a bit too late, unfortunately. Plant is down, but do they know that he's on main stairs? Long angle is there, Pasha ready and waiting. Leakifat with the right idea. A couple of shots coming in, make it a third and a fourth. It's enough to push him back, but not yet enough to finish him off. 20 seconds or so with yet to work. Leakifat needs to isolate these 1v1s, but he won't be giving it to him. He collects one, and Pasha goes off. 5-2 to Virtus.pro.
Look at what it means to Virtus.pro there. I mean, it would do. What kind of attack was that? 20 seconds Hail Mary, wasn't it? Straight in. Through Ash Rush spot, just dash in, try and get the diffuser down. That was crazy stuff from VP to be able to pull off. It was beautiful at the end. Dan just managing to scurry away after he'd got that plant confirmed. I think that was the point where Virtus.pro really won that round. I think if he gets picked up by Leakifak on the plant spot, even after the diffuser's down, it's very winnable for Falcons then. But as soon as he can escape up towards the tunnel, then they're in real trouble because they've got the crossfire established.
And look at the difference compared to, say, back in that first half as well. When we had a similar spot we were in, obviously Falcons couldn't quite get it over the line then. Crucially here, they had a massive advantage given all the work they've done upstairs, and it was like a blink and suddenly they've lost 2 players. Like, I can't be letting that happen. I really thought they'd had Virtus.pro figured out in that round, but the bear, it rules, Tim. And it gets a 3-round lead here. 2 more, and they could be away with this in rapid fashion on Clubhouse and straight into Consulate, which, not forget, is their map pick. It is their favorite map. They are 3-0 on it. They are undefeated on it in 2026. I'd be very, very nervous if I was Falcons going into map 2 down 0-1. It could be Virtus.pro cruising on in towards that final, and then they wait to see who will join them tomorrow.
And as a reminder for everybody of why that is important, you might look at this and think, well, well, you know, both these teams are already at EWC. It's not just about that anymore, and it's now become about SI points. There are a couple of 100 extras on the line for winning these playoffs, and we've seen, you know, every point makes its difference for SI qualification. It can be as little as 5 points. BDS will tell you from past failures to get to SI. So it really is valuable to be winning these matches. And right now, that is all about Virtus.pro. They've lost the Capitao. That is not addable, but they've already got Catwalk. It might not matter too much. They're not attacking into CCTV and Cash. They are attacking into Gym and Bedroom, but still taking that area. Very, very difficult. They've been able to do it with the Monty, so they can now start pushing through the rest of the map.
It's good when they got the entry, but it's the same as what we heard, you know, Leo speaking about. It's almost like an identical situation with making use of the Azami to cover their retreat path back off here. Of course, some environmentals to make use of too, so desire, but not being popped at this point. We'll have to shoot it off because if you step inside that as a shield and you get guard broken straight away, you can die. We also saw it used at this level previously on we see it quite a lot on Nighthaven Labs, it's worth noting, on the push up through Catwalk for a very, very similar reason. You have to shoot it out if you are the attacker, or it's only going to end up working against you. Either way, they would already see them long back away at that point. But down to this 4 versus 4 with about 75 to play, so not bad progress at Virtus.pro at all. It's going to come down to a straight up shootout on the site itself here to see who comes away the winner.
Just wanted to take the peek along those windows, see if anybody's playing on the rotation. They are not, but Doom does manage to find Skies. That's the Grim taken off the board, and Bees go with him. So much utility being lost along the way here for Virtus.pro. Now find themselves with a Monty having to fight with the pistol. Nako taken down. Solotov finds that kill. 4 versus 1. They're holding on from Bedroom. Rorik does manage to take his man down. Solotov off the board, but the Nitro over the top of the Kiba barricade, past the bed, into construction, does the job. That's going to be the final kill. Falcons get themselves a successful defense, and it is now 3-5.
Worth mentioning again, we had that conversation a couple of weeks ago about who had the most explosive kills around the world. Top 4 were players over in APL, but the player that was top in the West was none other than Brede himself, and secures one at the very end there to see them over the line. Really turned that bottleneck of construction doorway in towards site into a bit of a death valley in a really. As soon as they tried to step through that doorway while Solotov was there ready and waiting, the Guardian to site itself does bring the scoring within 2 round striking distance. We go again though into one of those really crucial rounds that we always speak about though, Tim. This one gets won by Virtus.pro 6-3. A 3-round difference starts to feel a little bit too significant. If Falcons can win it, well, they're back within 1 round after winning 2 in a row. It's not without reason that they couldn't go on and potentially win it, or at the very, very least take us into overtime. This is a crucial one. I feel Falcons have to come out on top here.
I'd agree. Not quite decisive necessarily. As you say, they're still in the game no matter what happens, but certainly what we call one of those swing rounds where the momentum can shift significantly. But it's going to be CCTV and Cash, just looking at those defenders. Always looking at the Thorn at the minute. It's an operator that I love playing, love watching. I think a lot of value in bringing Thorn along at the minute for area denial, for plant denial. We'll see quite often Solotov keeping 2 in pocket. Maybe, you know, it keeps it flexible. If a shield starts approaching, they don't know that there isn't one there yet. So a shield starts approaching, you can put a Razor Bloom out on their path, prevent them pushing you like that. If you keep 1 in pocket, which is the case now for Solotov, if a plant starts going down, it can be sent in much like you would do a smoke canister, and it'll detonate in time. So lots of options there for the Thorn.
Last time around, he was deleted very, very handily on the entry by the players of Virtus.pro. In the previous round of the My, where he really has shone his brightest so far. I'm really expecting to see a little bit of challenge coming on through. I mean, both teams have played, I've got to say, so aggressive on their own. Doesn't matter if playing downstairs or up on the top floor. We've seen extensions galore, whereas typically you might see a little bit of roaming up on the first floor defending downstairs, or if you find yourself inside Cash CC, you'd extend it towards a catwalk, but a full extension out towards the other side of the map, I'd say that's quite rare, but both teams have done it very consistently on this map so far. It's one of the more defensively aggressive clubhouses that I've seen in a long time, Tim.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like you say, not too much attention actually being paid to the sites through large portions of these rounds. Leakafak proving your point. He's going to be waddling his way up those central stairs. Are they aware of it? They've absolutely no idea of his position. A complete free before he manages to take down Dan. Dan almost reacted. Rorik definitely did react. Takes down Leaker back in a trade, and it's going to be 3 versus 3 as Pride manages to put that shotgun to work right in the face of Nako. 3 versus 2 as Doom gets in on the action, and that is a lost opportunity for Virtus.pro. But the fight back's on. Hang on a minute. Skies with a huge double.
He needs to try and save. Oh, Eustace has got a real game to play here now. Does he want to try and play this dance? Will he swing? Yeah, but it's inside the sight. No, Eustace has won it. Oh, Skies. All you had to do, buddy, was keep him out. Anything. It would have been great. But it's won by none other than Eustace himself. Both teams showing up with some big clutches in this game so far, Tim.
I have no idea how Eustace has managed to win that. The utility goes onto the doorway. And Skies even knows that Eustace has stepped in at that point. His shots are just low. That's the top and bottom of it. His crosshair is too low. If he's aiming higher, if he's up at head height, he gets the kill. It's simple as that. But Eustace, you know, shows the difference in reverse and picks it up. So great stuff from Falcons. They take round 9, bring it back to 5-4. We're going to see the clash banned out by Virtus.pro. Not something that's been played as of yet by Falcons, but obviously, you know, just determining that they don't want that to be the case quite often.
Man.
This is, just look at the crosshair placement.
He's
So low, he's like aiming at his legs.
The crime scene, man, is drawing white lines all around him, but not actually hitting the body itself. Unfortunate for Skies. That one will sting a little bit because, as we mentioned, that was a crucial round, and Falcons are now back within 1. It did require a 1v2 being won out. However, we've also seen Virtus.pro win out 2 clutches themselves in this game. It's kind of mad to think the Falcons are as close as they are, but they are within striking distance. They can get this one done, especially going down onto the bottom floor, one of our most defender-sided sites in the game.
The mirror will still be present, however. Flash has been taken away, but it does mean, as we've said, it's always kind of pick your poison now. Which utility do you want to play up against? And they will be against those black mirrors, so we will see what's going to be the plan to deal with them. They do have Dan on the Ash, that's one option. You've got the Hibana, that's another option. You've got smoking it off with the Capitao, a third option. Get in there and smash it. So plenty of chances, plenty of ways that they can deal with that utility, but deal with it they still must. 5-4 now on the scoreboard as we head into round 10. Church and Arsenal will be the target for Virtus.pro. They were able to win it out last time. Let's not forget, it came down to a real Hail Mary play with Dan and Pasha ultimately holding on as they managed to just dash into that plant spot and secure it. Leakerfact was 1v2, and I think honestly, you know, if you played that round a few more times in exactly the same way, Leakerfact could come away with a few wins. So I think Virtus.pro were a little bit lucky, and I'm not sure the luck will continue carrying through to this point.
Maybe not. So, oh, come on, man. Watch him get a 3K off the back of this now. I swear to God.
No chance.
I was about to say, don't even bother. Just get out. And sure enough, get out he will. Be able to move the shell at the very least, but he's lucky to be alive there. 4 shots he took during that period.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how Doom's got away with that, but also showing one of the other powers, one of the other Ooh, they're getting a little bit sloppy down here, Falcons at the minute. They're giving up damage quite often. Just showing one of the other real benefits of playing Scorpos. Doom's back up to full health, so if you see that, don't think it's a glitch or anything. It's because he's got 2 shells. They both have 100 HP, so he takes a bunch of damage on one, transfers back to the other. He's back to the full health of that other shell. So a good little strength of Scorpos.
And now with support, so he might go on to get a 3K off the back of it, or yet to be seen. On the side of Virtus.pro, though, we're down to our last 60 here. They've got what they need in terms of the hatch control. They've, of course, had that hammer swinging away from Rorik, making sure they've got control inside of the hallway at the same time. Just trying to restrict movement the defenders. Stopping up what might be a plant spot here. A drop inside for Nako, for example, will make a lot of sense into that kitchen hatch, but also have that main stairs option, which is exactly where I think he's now looking to go. But again, they've got choices, the crucial part. My only worry is they haven't got a single kill. They haven't forced these Falcons players completely away. You can just see 2 or 3 of them already. I tell you what, that's horrible. That is vile. Dan didn't even get a chance to see him, and Solitar's taking his head clean off. Zoom into another. Starts out that potential 3K that I mentioned with 1 for himself. Looking a bit rough here for Virtus.pro team. I'm starting to wonder, are they running out of ideas?
Yeah, the same angle that we saw Shepard punished on so long ago back at the Mexico Major. Through the pots and pans, Brede does manage to find Sky Solotov. It was running away from Falcons for a little bit. They've been able to fight their way back into it. The shotgun does the job onto Neko, and just like that, Falcons have got themselves leveled up, and they are showing why they've got such a strong record on Clubhouse.
Yeah, Solotov especially is like unleashed in the second half. He came into it not having the best time, but has really woke himself up now. I think he's close to breaking even as well. Just looking absolutely phenomenal. And Virtus.pro are realizing it. Right, we've lost our advantage. It's now down to 5 apiece. We should have had this one sewn up, it feels like, when we were up 5-2. But to give 3 rounds in a row over to Falcons, that's going to stink. And they've got to find a way back into the game.
Ripping the brakes, as it were, by going for the tactical timeout. Just going to, as you say, have that discussion. Seeing that in this second half, interestingly, the entry is being overturned quite a lot as well when we look at just round 6 onwards. So for the first half, where we had Virtus.pro on the defense, the round went with the entry. The entry kill was converted every single time for the first 6 rounds. Since then, it's only actually been converted twice out of 5. So, you know, a very different kind of ball game at the minute coming in with, you know, teams really being able to fight back, as it were, you know, really being able to push back against that man disadvantage. And we've seen that quite a few times where, you know, it may be kind of 4 versus 3 and then it'll just get flipped on its head like this. 3 versus 2, you know, and they end up losing the round, and it's a Falcons win. So certainly not proving to be too much of a factor in this second half, at least. 3 rounds in a row for Falcons now, and they're going to be looking to continue that momentum up in gym and bedroom, which they played in round 8. They won. Virtus.pro just, I think, a little bit slow for me, a little bit ineffective at clearing key areas.
Yeah, and again, you're going to see the exact same thing, the extension out towards Cash and CC, and both teams have really struggled with breaking this open when there have been these double architect operators on side. And if you've heard me say the word architect there, you're like, what the hell do you mean by architect operators, Des? 2 years ago, we had Ubisoft speaking about this, you know, Mira, Azami, Clash, I'd say, almost somewhat falls inside there as well. Castle, no doubt, a big part of it too. Just all 4 really let you change massively how you play a side through their gadgetry. And so I think across those 4, like, it makes it so hard to break down this side of the map overall. Yes, there's only 2 that are coming along here, but 2 is enough, I think, to waste a hell of a lot of time. Virtus.pro are really sending a Hail Mary in behind this Monty as well. 4 out of the 5 rounds they've run it so far. They managed to win, of course, the first one back in round 7, thanks to a down 1v1, admittedly overturning a leak of back 4K. But they're yet to find success with it outside of that first round. I'm probably a little bit nervous here, Tim, that they won't be able to find success in general. Feels like Falcons have just got their number at this point.
June peppering shots out towards Garage there, unable to pick up any damage onto Neko. So we see Falcons not quite being forced back yet, but at least kind of manoeuvred back a little bit out of top red stairs. They're now inside Cash. As that pressure mounts, we would expect them to move back through construction, but they are not going to go anywhere soon, I don't think. They're going to try to hold on to this for as long as possible. Keeper barricade will allow a little bit of an out for June there, so he can get himself back towards site. Solotov now finds himself in construction. And it is going to be Virtus.pro just starting to tighten the net a little bit halfway through the round.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough, right? Like, you can waste a little bit of time even on the roam. It's one thing you got to remember about roaming, and most people don't always like appreciate this. You don't have to get kills. If you can chew through drones, if you can chew through utility, if you can even just chew through time, it's enough. And if you get away with a kill during that time period, great. That's resource being taken away from the attackers. You are weakening them. But it isn't essential for you to get a kill for a roam to be successful. Just being out there and wasting time and falling back when you know drones are likely to follow can be enough. Now, Dan's going to start out with the entry. Solotov, who as I mentioned, has been having a really good half so far, is taken offline. Leaker back into 2 for himself, though. A C4 kill coming out as well. Starting to fall apart once again. The Virtus.pro team, they've got to make it work. And UCC ain't going to let that happen. A 4v2. Falcons might be about to go up to map point.
Virtus.pro have just lost so much steam in this second half. I'd say the same for them as I said about Falcons to begin with. My criticism of Falcons was that the rounds being lost in the first half weren't necessarily down to the strategy, weren't necessarily down to, you know, they just weren't competitive in a lot of areas. They weren't really winning gunfights. They didn't have man advantage. In the first 4 rounds, 4 of them only got 1 kill each on the side of Falcons. They really weren't in the game, but they've come back. They're the ones who found the footing. They've dug deep. They've showed some good resilience, and they're into this now. And Virtus.pro, they rattled. cold. There's no two ways about it. They're struggling to find the kills now. They're not in the same way. They're not competitive in these gunfights. Falcons are just picking them up for fun. They're hitting them with nitros. They're hitting them with utility. They're burning their time. They're just making everything difficult for them. And this is much more the Falcons that we expect to see on Clubhouse.
Yeah, it was that big question at the halfway mark was, you know, have they sat down Virtus.pro and done the homework on the other side of things? Their defenses were great. They had Falcons figured out to a T. Beautiful stuff. If Virtus.pro can get a single round on the line, and truthfully, Cash CC, in my opinion, is the site to do it. It's the one where the extensions aren't as brutal. It's one where you go direct access towards site by opening up a single wall. You haven't got as much map to worry about clearing. If they're going to find a way through, Tim, it's going to be here and now. They're running the Capital, they're running the Monty. I know they've run those things an awful lot already, but for this side in particular, it should make clearing Catwalk that much easier. On the other side, there's only the ADSs, there's no one my own side, for example. So clearly they feel that they've got what they need here to crack this egg wide open.
I think Virtus.pro need to get more value out of the entry kills as well. So I mentioned it, and the reason I bring it up again is after mentioning it, saying, you know, a lot of these entry kills in the second half with Virtus.pro on the attack and not resulting in round wins. It happened again. Dan got the entry, Falcons won the round. So Virtus.pro have actually had 4 of the entry kills in the last 6 rounds, and they've only won 1 of them. They've only won 25% of the rounds that they've had the entry kill for in the last 6, and that is a big problem because they're doing great work. They're getting those early kills, but Falcons are, you know, bringing themselves back into it every single time. So I'm going to watch very closely here. If Virtus.pro get that kill, is it traded? And if not, how do they use that man advantage? Where are they then sending that extra player to put some pressure on Falcons?
Nice touch away from Nako. Just watch out for that fire to your left, good sir. Sure that one isn't chewing you alive. In a spot now where, of course, he's a little bit more at risk here. June with that go cast taken away. Takes a really high risk move here and drops the way down. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he was going for there. Knowing that the wall blown was soft, like, I get maybe he was trying to surprise them. Maybe it was a mispress of the keyboard. I don't know. That was a weird one.
So, entry kill goes to Virtus.pro again. Can they lock it down this time? So, big difference here. They've managed to, first of all, my first step after getting an entry kill that I want to see is keep yourselves alive. Don't give a trade up. Don't give that man advantage. We're now outside of that window. They've got themselves the 5v4. They've cemented that. They've secured it. They've taken it over Catwalk. They've got the breach onto CCTV. They've got a lot of what they need here. Somebody needs to control Lounge, but other than that, they are in a position to be able to think about putting a plan down. There is 2 nitros left on the side of Falcons. That is a factor that they need to consider as well, but there is no smoke, so they should have access to that bomb site. Solotov picks up a beauty onto Dan though. 4 versus 4. Could this be another round that crumbles for Virtus.pro despite having the entry kill? Solotov gets a beautiful nitro onto the Catwalk.
The plant's going down, even with Rorik nowhere nearby. Another seat, like, come on, boys. You've seen them come over all day long, but it's still just not going to be enough. 5 rounds in a row for Falcons. Sees them taking their map pick. 7-5 at the end of that first half on Clubhouse.
Yeah, Falcons' record is decent as well. Definitely 4-2. So, you know, maybe not quite at Virtus.pro's level, but not very far off at all. And just the way that the back end of Clubhouse went, Falcons are going to be carrying a lot of confidence. It was something I mentioned in the half-time of Clubhouse. You know, how the spirits were up. They'd heard the team comms. They were, you know, sort of bouncing along through the game and playing happy, if you will. So, yeah, I think they could be difficult to overcome at this point. Virtus.pro are going to ban away the clash straight away, and in response, Falcons are going to be taking the Blackbeard out of things. So this is going to be a big hit on the shields in the banning phase for Consort.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a big surprise. It was a bit of a frustration point for both teams at points. The Shank coming away, I think quite popular on this map, you know, targeting towards Brede as well above all else. I think makes a lot of sense. And the Grim on the other side, typically the sort of thing I'd expect to be directed towards Falcons. Maybe we will see that come out as a thing in the second half, but here also being taken away from Virtus.pro. Both teams with a couple of target bans on there, more specific to the map itself. Otherwise, I'd say bans that are just pretty damn strong otherwise.
We're going to get on into this one then, and as we've said, it's going to be Falcons kicking things off on the defense, and Straight away, just looking at that lineup, we've seen the bandit bans go up and up. We've spoken about them at length. It's not going to be the case this time, so we're going to see that bandit brought along straight away. I would expect to see Leak of Fact using at least one of those batteries on that kind of closet wall, the external wall in towards site, and keep that closed for as long as possible. Exactly that one, thank you very much. And I think looking at the side of Virtus.pro, I'm interested to see the sends brought on site. It's always an operator I like to see brought by attackers because there's a plan, there's an execute that's very much going to be focused around that, whether it's going to be used for taking space. We often see it bit of a peek. It's too easy. It should have been too easy. June, what is going on? Pasha with a big response takes him down. That's going to be advantage Virtus.pro.
He's just so good, isn't he?
He's just
so bloody brilliant, Pasha. It astounds me every single time. Shouldn't be winning that. Shouldn't be hitting the SMG that he hit during the post plant. Back on Clubhouse, he just finds a way to get it done. And Doom equally, he'll be kicking himself because he knows that he should have had him dead to rights there. I almost laughed. I thought, if that's Rorik that's running in towards Doom, I was just like, surely not. Surely we don't big up this sends here. Because I'm with you, Tim. You see a sends on side, there's pretty much always a game plan. For it to get domed early on during like a run out or some kind of aggressive peak would just be classic. True irony, but classic.
Just looking at Pasha as well, look how little damage he's taken. Like, he wasn't ready for that run out. His was, you know, purely reactionary with his shots. You know, and Doom was there, prepared. That's exactly where he was looking. So big loss of Falcons. But anyway, we move on. We're going to see the electrification just stopping that wall being breached from admin for the time being. They're going to breach this side wall instead. We're going to see the Selma Charger's second detonation. Gives an angle straight through. So Falcons need to be cautious around that corridor now. Rorik being inside of admin suggests that we're maybe going to see those sense gadgets used to create a little bit of a safe corridor in towards site. We see that quite often. If you think of maybe cafe, basement, not basement really, but bottom floor cafe in the kitchen, we see it used to block off the line of sight from VIP, for example. I think we're maybe going to use some of those light screens in that kind of capacity to prevent. So there's so many places down the bottom of here that you can be peeked when you're trying to work through that corridor.
Absolutely. Well, once again, VP really leaning in hard in towards Nako on this Monty. Poor man might get to play nothing else on every single attacking round throughout this entire series. This ends up being a 2-0. And as always, Falcons just always have one more C4 to play with. Both tossed out towards Nako. The second one getting the deal done. 3 versus 4 now for the side of Virtus.pro. And not a lot of time with which to work. Falcons so far defending brilliantly.
Yeah, they are just holding a skinny angle here. Solotov, he's not going to get any more aggressive than that because he knows that he can't. He's so low health. You can see those light screens just in and around, trying to create that area of safety. That can then pop up, and you've got that little bit of space to get in and put the diffuser down. So it is going to be used towards a direct plant, but they're not aware of the player underneath. And Rorik's going to be taken down. Pasha looking for an opportunity to put the diffuser down, manages to get his man. He's going to have to stick this, and the cover's there. I tell you what, that round went back and forward so many times. I'm thinking, right, VP have got a good advantage. They've got that opening kill onto Doom, and then they start getting taken down. You know, they can't get into sight. The smokes are hitting them. They lose Nako on the shield. I think, right, Falcons looking solid here. And then Virtus.pro just come back almost out of nowhere to take it down. A good win from them, a good round for them, and just showing how difficult it is going to be to beat Virtus.pro here on Consulate. And I'd have been interested to see them actually stay underneath Leak of Fact there when he gets that first kill. The diffuser's there, you know you've dropped the case. Maybe try and stick it, but you know, it's always going to be difficult to challenge for the defenders from below. So he chooses to go back upstairs. Doesn't work out, and Virtus.pro take the first round. It's 1-0.
To be clear, the craziest part about that, it was 4 versus 2, of course, and Pasha and Dan have each got 2 kills in the space of 7 seconds.
Yep.
Like, that is a miraculous way to pull off and save a round. Like, they had 2 clutches, 1 each, back on Clubhouse. Still couldn't quite get the job done then. That's certainly a statement coming into round 1 that they are not mucking about. They do not want to see this over and done in just 2 maps. They want to be the team that make it guaranteed into that final, which will get played tomorrow as our last game at the stage.
Heading down to basement for the second defensive round then. Falcons choosing to move on rather than try that site again. Looking at the lineup, plenty of explosions expected in this one. We've got the Thermite and the Hibana, so there's going to be lots of destruction possible. We're going to have Neko just watching that window for the time being. I'm putting a little bit of a question mark on Neko's shield play over... well, the last kind of 6 or 7 rounds, really. I just think he's been a little bit aggressive at times. We saw it in construction where he dashed on in, didn't have the support. Leak Effect was still top red, and he put himself in a really bad spot. And I think he did that again in that last round there. He charges in towards long desk, and he just starts getting hit with the smokes. He gets hit with a nitro. His health just gets chipped away. There's nothing wrong with an aggressive Monty. You just can't be too aggressive. You can't put yourself in bad spots because you can't defend yourself. And if you're too far ahead of your team, you're going to be punished for it. We keep seeing the shield taken off the board without really gaining too much from it.
For sure. Well, let's see what Falcons can do this time around in the early round. They've been really good with the C4s, I've got to give it to them throughout the series multiple times. You know, Brede stepping up with kills, his son Leak Effect netting a couple back on the previous map as well. They've done brilliant work with it. Here they come armed with 3. They've got the Ella to help deal with Neko. It's almost like they've acknowledged that they're going to see a lot of the Monty coming out. They've said, okay, with these 2 bands are making away, we know that the Monty is going to be the go-to thing for them. And that's why they're bringing along this lineup that helps deal with it, that helps slow down the side of Virtus.pro. And maybe Falcons are looking at it and thinking, you know what, by playing the time, playing the clock here, that's how we're going to find ourselves with our win. Immediately they managed to let Leak Effect just sprint away there for a quick second towards bottom spiral. Neko's certainly not going to go chasing anyone anytime soon.
No, this is what I wanted to see a little bit more. They're getting more value out of that Monty here. Look how they've shifted those players. They're not aware. Rorik's going to be coming round, is he? Yeah, there you go. He's watching into. That's what I was concerned that, again, Neko was maybe just extending a little bit too far. But no, the support is there this time. And Rorik manages to get that kill. This is way better use of that shield. They've been able to... Oh, what a shot through the smoke as well. Brede manages to get one. Skars is there with one of his own. Brede taken down in a late trade. And it's going to be Rorik. 3 in the round to finish it off. Better shield use as I've tried. They kept getting kills. So rude of them. As I was saying, the Monty, just much better use, just a little bit more reserved, still quite aggressive, still got in there, forced those players away, forces the Soulless out of position, creates that space, creates the opportunity for Rorik coming down because he's then a bit of a magnet, and Rorik picks up a couple of kills on the back of it. So yeah, much better from Neko in that round in my mind.
It was more the pressure as a team. Like, he, of course, is once again, just like the clash when you were speaking about it back on Club, he's the attention soak. You see that shield walking at you, you can't, well, ignore it. Like, yeah, it's a pistol on the other side, okay. It's still pretty damn lethal, and it's why you have to be so mindful of it in the first place. But it's just how they managed to very casually and slowly and gently take ground there that I thought for a time, I was like, well, Falcons are going to find themselves happily running this clock down with 3 C4s at the ready. They'll just play behind C4s. What I like from Virtus.pro is they didn't give them time to sit and start deploying all of that. Instead, they had the chance to be able to charge their way forward aggressively, punish them before any utility could be deployed, and Falcons were simply overrun. You don't tend to expect that when there is a Monty on side, so that tempo switcher from Virtus.pro in the mid round, that's what really helped them get that one over the line. A great second round. They're up 2-0 on the attack, Tim. I wouldn't be complaining if I were in their shoes.
Okay then. See if Falcons can get themselves... It was much the same as Clubhouse, really. They lost the first couple of rounds and then they were able to kind of scratch a couple out, as it were. So this time it's going to be Piano that they're trying to hold on to. So there's, I would imagine, going to be a battle over top floor. And as Rorik dives straight onto the rappel, I would suggest that I am likely to be correct. On the Raura, we don't see too much of the Raura being brought along, but another operator that I really do enjoy watching. We've seen those changes recently, which really slows down the speed at which her barriers rise. Once a defender shoots them, for the attackers, it's nice and quick, but for a defender, I think it's about 6 seconds.
Oh, mate, I'm going to
really
see while that shit takes that time to go up and down. It's
so slow.
The wall.
And there's just a nice pair of legs usually that appear at the bottom of it, and you can just shoot them. It's really easy. So I really like the Raura. DMR available as well, not actually brought along by Rorik, but that is a choice. And so yeah, it's another sense. It's another one where, right, we're going to block this doorway, we're going to block this doorway, that's going to give us the space, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, I like that from them.
Oh, Tim, look, 3 C4s again. And they've got smokes. They'll do anything to try and stop Neko. And this time around, they're ready with C4s in hand, which I like the small little change up. Good chunk of health taken away. Of course, not going to kill anyone, but respectable, and shoot, almost being taken out from downstairs there. Skies is the one ready and waiting, but now Pasha's going to fall very critically, Tim. Those are the Candelas that are gone.
Big loss for Virtus.pro, but Rorik does manage to get in there with the Raura, put it to use, and get the kill onto Solotov. 4 versus 4. Naquo low health, so again, can't be going too aggressive. Takes more damage from that smoke canister. Just trying to bully his way into top yellow. There are no more toxic babes available for Falcons, though, so once that clears, he will be able to start moving forward. There's no nitros on side, but keep your eye on Leakerfag with that impact nade in pocket. That would be enough to take Naquo down. Doom manages to pick up Dan. That's the Nomad gone. I would imagine air jabs should have been deployed by now. Utility-wise, it shouldn't be a problem, but manpower will be. 45 seconds left to go. We see another Raura barricade being sent in there to prevent access into bathroom, but I tell you what, you can just peek around the corners, guys. Does take users, though.
They can recover him as well, like, because of that Raura that's down on the doorway. No one can swing in and be aggressive here. So sure enough, Rorik gets recovered. We're back into a 3 versus 3. They still need top floor controller. They do not have enough. And they've got the right idea because there is still one player, Brede, sat just across from them. Oh, they're giving him the respect that he needs, though. It's going to drop in instead. Brede being so patient about this. When he strikes, though, if they don't manage to hold this top floor, they are screwed.
They really are. They're now going to see Naquo anyway. Dropping in. Yeah, it's over. Naquo's got no option but to try and put that diffuser down. He is surrounded, as expected. And just like on Clubhouse, Falcons lose the first 2 rounds, come back with the third, and we found ourselves sat at 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, well handled by Falcons too. Like, I like the things that changed up compared to round 2. In round 2, I said they had all this utility with which to throw at the shield once they started getting near looking for a plan. Virtus.pro read into that and said, cool, let's just go really slow to start with, make them think it's okay to wait to use utility, and then we flood. And they just couldn't do anything about it. Round 3, they're using C4s off the rip. They're not even looking for gunfights to start, Tim. They're literally yeeting C4s at that shield, hoping to catch someone else. That was a real cool idea to start things out. But then later in the round, once they've used those C4s and damaged them onto you and got them really focused on the plant because time has been wasted so aggressively, they just sit and play very passively. They wait for the drop to come on through. Once they got rid of Pasha and the Candelas were gone, they knew really that they were in dreamland then, and all they had to do was play things slow and patient. So both teams showing really good adaptation to the tempo demands of a round itself. Doesn't mean that Falcons are super happy with that first quarter, though. Dropping 2 rounds. Only winning the 1 defense is not a good spot to be in. So hopefully after that attack timeout, we see some change. And speaking of, Tim, more change to come. Operator bans to follow through now.
I've just got a little bit of information that I believe that timeout did not count because of the time. I think it was because of the time it was cold. It was too late, so it wasn't effectively a timeout. It wasn't an opportunity for the coach to speak to them. So I think that'll still be available on the cards. So 2-1, we are Virtus.pro. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong in that as well. 2-1 for Virtus.pro after that first quarter, and I think they're going to be pretty happy with that. It gives them a good opportunity, especially on the attack. Consular, you know, they're looking at a 4-2 half here before they get on the defense of their own map. I think they're going to be fairly satisfied with that if you can come away with the 4-2. Last time, of course, Falcons were able to, you know, really make it difficult for them. It was nearly a 3-3 half, so we'll see whether they can do that again, keep them under pressure. But we're going to have those additional bans coming through. It's going to be a Glaz and the Warden that are taken away, so pretty complementary bans coming out. So you're not going to have to worry about the Glaz looking through a smoke, but nor will you have to worry about the Warden doing the same. Not having the Sens brought along this time. If you remember last time for this attack, Rorik was on the Sens, and it was all about getting those light screens down to just block those lines of sight and create a little opportunity to get the plant down. Didn't really work out for them, to be honest. We saw the light screens deployed, we didn't really see them in action, so this time they've just gone for the pure disruption of the Deimos.
I was like seeing a similar thing with the Thatcher we spoke about earlier when you see certain operators get brought along and you know something's happening. Thatcher feels like a very easy one to kind of point at and go, oh, it means they're trying to disable something. It's like, yeah, but what is it they're trying to disable? They're trying to make something that little bit easy for themselves. Otherwise, you just bring along micro EMPs if it's to do with opening a wall, for example. So I think maybe here there's going to be something they've got in mind that might make things a little bit easier. For example, being able to use it to disable any razor blooms that are on the other side of windows if you're trying to go in for a repel while Pasha's yeeting in a bunch of those Candelas. Equally, if C4s are then going to start following over not long after, that could also be another really good option for you. So I think here it's definitely a game plan that Dan and the team have got in mind. Or to see if they can capitalize off the back of it. That's it. Well, 1 or 2 C4s at the ready. No shields, of course, in the round itself, but still a changing game plan from Virtus.pro overall. They know that the Monty's really helped them so far. They've got to have something else up their sleeve to make this work. And here we go, starting to get themselves lined up for a default hit.
I think the Candela heading towards the Bandit, if you're wondering why. I think it was a little bit of a bait to try and get the Nitro out of him. They watch him for the Nitro being thrown here, as you suggested. They do take out one bit of utility, but there comes the Knight. They've completely messed that up. Users manages to find the kill. Yeah, they've completely messed it. We'll go back to that. Skies tries to put it down.
One.
There's the Knight. They've tried to bait. This has all gone wrong for Virtus.pro. We'll break this down afterwards as we focus on the action, but the Skies is going to get a little bit of space here.
Oh, God,
manages to find the kill onto June, but yeah, it's done now. Skies gets taken out.
So this is a tutorial of how not to pull off this execute,
basically
by the way.
don't do this.
This has been an absolute car crash. Wow.
Yep.
I mean,
first thing,
I'd like to say nice try, but not really.
No, it wasn't. So first things first, Pasha sends that Candela in, and I kind of half explain. He sends that Candela in, and I'm often quite critical of utility like that being sent in, and you don't follow it in. There's no pressure around. You know, I often talk about what are you buying for your utility, what value are you getting out of it, what are you selling it for, and I think the Candela going in was to try and bait the Nitro out of the Bandit. They're hoping that by that coming in, he thinks, right, they're getting into the... Send it over now. Leakerback doesn't bite on that, for starters. So that's the first thing, because Leakerback then gets a Nitro kill later in the round. So he doesn't bite on that. Doesn't give up his position. Pasha doesn't take any ground off it. So it's a really good start from Falcons. Later in the round, you've then got... If the intention was to, I can only imagine it was, if the intention was to disable the Nitro, that's one of the worst attempts that I've seen from a Thatcher at doing that. So he hits something to begin with, which I'm pretty sure was a Wamai magnet. There's then a second blast goes off. I don't know what. Because there's nothing on the little device screen for the Thatcher, and then when he can't blast the game because he's on cooldown, you literally watch the Nitro come across his readout, and he must just be saying, oh god, you know, because it's like an IQ scanner almost. It gives you that opportunity to see the electronics, and had he just waited for that, he gets the disable on it. Really, really poor overall from Virtus.pro on the attack there.
I'm surprised he doesn't get pulled out like a Hey June today at some point, you know? He needs one of them moments, doesn't he? He needs a June Bellingham moment. That's what we're all waiting for. Maybe it is yet to come. Of course, didn't have the greatest one against Pasha early on in the attempted spawn. He was looking for something here just a second ago, but given absolutely nothing by Virtus.pro, unfortunately. Dan, in chased around now, ring around the roses. Here we go. We'll play this dance all day long. Oh, and he finds you first, I'm afraid. That's unlucky.
Bad damage to Greedy. Leakerfat manages to take him down. That's going to be the switch off the board. No more worrying about those pesky shock drones. A little bit of damage done to Pasha as well. And Virtus.pro again, Des, just seems to be crumbling a little bit. They've just really gone off the boil. That last round seems to have shaken them. No surprises, because there was a lot of mistakes in it. But you got to be able to just give your head a wobble and move on. You know, get on with it. Get it out of your mind. But right now, it seems to still be impacting on them. Dan just running out from behind cover with no idea what was in front of him. You can see the EMP will come in there, but they're unaware of the player above, who just shoots all the pellets off. Big mistakes continue for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, dare I say, across these last couple of rounds, they've just looked wholly unprepared for what's coming their way. Falcons having the full run of the map, and I said earlier on, you know, Derry point towards a 2-0 for Falcons. Wouldn't have thought that back on club. When it was 2-1 to Virtus.pro, I was like, nah, it'd be completely fine. But it's more the nature by which these last two rounds have gone that I start to feel a little bit nervous of VP here. They're just getting bullied out of the map here, and not even on gun skill alone. There's a kill for June onto Nako at the very least, who leaves a bit of an of himself on show. Pasha gets one back, but how long can we rely on heroics from one player, Tim? I don't know, there's a lot to ask.
Not very long against a team like Falcons, realistically, because that's what's going to happen. Brede picks up Pasha, and there's your hero gone. Rorik just moving back. They didn't even get the hatch open. I think they lost at least, it was at least 6x Kairos pellets on that hatch. Might have been 8. Solotov picks up the man, so that's the Hibana gone as well. Easy round for Falcons, 2 in a row. That makes it 3-2 now, and Virtus.pro are in a little bit of trouble on the attack. I think, you know, the one thing that's going to be in their mind is, at least we've got our 2 attacks. We can look at going on to the defense. They're going to be confident that they can get 3 or 4 rounds. But no surprise to see that tactical timeout coming out. The only surprise is that they've only got one attack left, so you're not going to have too much of an impact with this timeout.
No, but I imagine on their side, they're thinking, we need more out of this half than what we're currently getting. We need to be coming out of this with 3, if not 4 rounds. We can have a good second half. And that's probably why on this side, they feel this is the best time to make use of it. And I don't blame them. Most teams will take their attack timeouts, I'd say, when they're getting absolutely battered like 3-0 in either half, but more likely on their attacking side, because that is when things can tend to be going wrong. I often say that, defense is easier, air quotes, to play, because you lean towards saying, right, here's the strat, here's the positions you play, here are the things that we might do at certain points. The attacking side requires a lot more problem solving, a lot more dynamism to your gameplay itself to be able to pincer onto certain players, to pull off a great execute, to communicate and count down well. So I think Virtus.pro realise this is the harder half for them, and they'd rather walk away with another round or 2 here than not take the attack time out and potentially maybe get one more round, if that, in the second half. So don't blame them for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Don't blame them for it, but the impact is possibly limited as well to 1 round. So let's see, if there's a point in the second half, I always look at it, I think there's a point in the second half now where you've kind of, if you do win this round and you've bought your round with your tactical timeout, and then there's a point in the second half where you're really up against it and you think they could do with a tactical that you're then going to start looking back to this. So let's see how they do. It's going to be Piano for our final site for Falcons on the defense, and they've got the Valkyrie. I love that pick. Not going to see the IQ brought along to counter it. So it's going to be the job of all the players to make sure that they are aware of those black eye camera positions, because you can get them up above, you can hit with nitros from below. They've got Solotov and users both with that utility in pocket. We've seen Falcons having, showing serious capability with the nitros in this game, in the entire stage, and they're going to look to continue to do that. So definitely something the Virtus.pro need to be aware of.
Sure. Well, without him, they also had a little chat, and they thought, you know what? It feels like a good time to get back on the Monty. Why not? How can things possibly go any worse? Because they had themselves in a good spot where they, of course, got the 2 round wins in that first quarter playing the Monty exclusively. I don't blame them at all for leaning back in towards it. On the other side, though, they've gone towards even more denial. Still got a couple of C4s to play behind. Now they've got the Goyo and the smoke to stack up behind. That is a lot of delay that they can put on towards the Monty. So again, we go back towards trying to slow a round down here and punish Virtus.pro early on.
Nitro comes out. It's going to do a little bit of damage. This is something they've done really well. I've commented, partly on Naquo's positioning, that he's been a little bit advanced of his team, a little bit aggressive sometimes, I feel, on that Monty. He's put himself in bad spots. The last couple of times we've seen him play it, he's actually not done that. He's been a little bit more reserved. He's got more value out of the shield, but he does just constantly take this chip damage. It's something that Falcons do really well. A Nitro here, a Toxic Babe there, and all of a sudden he's half health and in a little bit of trouble. Second Nitro goes out, and it's again that chip damage done. Pasha manages to find the kill onto Duke, but Useless is there with 1 onto Skies, and now they're just starting to bully the Monty. They've got to be able to find the kill. I think he's just screaming for a bit of help from Solotov there. It does come. Solotov had to wait for his moment. Users finishes him off. They know there's one outside a bathroom as well.
I think Rorik's trolled a little bit there. Not gonna lie. He's been very merrily marching his way on fours while his monster's been getting absolutely bullied. Naquo, they must have been screaming there. 2 players pushing in towards him, and yet no support coming in from his team. Has been sold at the river a little bit. And I was going to say, at least they managed to get things into a 3 versus 2, but now thanks to Solotov, we're into a 2 versus 2. Dan dropping it down to 1. Brede, time to clutch up big, my friend. Probably time to get that shotgun out and look to cause spot of damage here. Diffuser upstairs, likely going to be recovered in just a second. Which now means there is 30 seconds and Brede on the clock to make this happen.
I think Solotov just overstays his welcome a little bit there. He gets 1 kill, doesn't drop the hatch that's right next to him, and so he just gets pre-fired off the round really, and then leaves his man Brede in a 1v2. Can't finish it off, and so we have a 3-3, and that might actually, as you said before, Des, just be a really important round for VP.
Could, and I was honestly never sure why it wouldn't be, but a 3-3 half feels pretty balanced. Guys over on the desk, what do you make of it?
Thank you so much. Yeah, 3-3 I'd say is very good for Virtus.pro given they were on the attack here. But for Falcons, especially in that middle part here of the first half, we saw some incredible defenses.
Yeah, I think you could actually argue, Leo, I don't know if you'd argue this, but through control, I think Falcons have probably controlled at least 5 of the rounds, and will be disappointed that it's not a 5-1 split. I think during the first couple of rounds, realistically, they went 2-0 down, but they could have won at least one of them, Leo.
That one is one of them. Like the first round, realistically, Bandit is downstairs. He can deny the plant. If his teammates are not pushing towards VP and they just play for denial here, it's a Falcons win. And then obviously, like countering the CEO window was quite easy for these guys.
Yeah.
One clear pattern I've seen on the side of Falcons. Remember how they won their defenses on the side of Clubhouse of using utility, Azami, Mira, Clash. What they've done here is a mix of A, spawn kills. They've done 2 already. The first one in the first round and this one with Solis. B, intel game. They brought Solis, they brought Mozzie, they brought Valkyrie, as much intel as possible.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is a lot of utility to win in the last round, in the end of the round, sorry, in the late round, because overall, VP is one of the slowest team in the league.
And what do Solis, Mozzie, and Valkyrie bring? Impact, C4s, and they've been playing a lot of smoke as well. I feel for poor Nacro. I think he got C4'd about 9 times during that half. You know, there was not a smoke canister thrown at him. There was a C4, then there was another C4, and then there was 2 players running at him. I think Falcons did a very, very good job of trying to mitigate that threat. I think that was probably the biggest threat that VP presented. We know how they like to play. They like to play behind the shields. They like to play the cheesy stuff, and I think Falcons did a good job. Where I think they maybe failed, actually, was in the late round, was in the composure of... The one thing they did well in Clubhouse was talking about the late round. Who's the win condition?
Yeah.
How do they get there? It seemed a little bit petulant on Consulate. It seemed like they weren't really doing that. They were maybe shouting over each other a little bit more. That's why you see that very first round, the Bandit not holding, you know, and his teammates pushing. That's why you see in the very last round, Solotov staying up, wanting to fight, whilst Breeday's hiding and playing for the late round. And that's ultimately the difference between them taking a 5-1 split on their opponent's map pick and a 3-3 split. Now they get to attack Consulate, which they are decent at themselves. You know, it's not impenetrable, but they could have been in such a better position.
Yeah, I felt like this should have been a 5-1. Exactly like you said, I think round 1 and round 6 as the perfect examples as the late round condition, the win condition in the late round that they were so good at defining here was not clear in these 2 rounds.
We don't see an Ella bend too often. That's a curious one.
Yeah, Ella's seriously strong against the shields right now. Obviously brings barbed wire, free speed, and the free gas mods as well. If you go solo up against a shield, Ella's perfect because you can throw it, knocks the shield away, and you can kill the shield. It happens quite a lot. You can also, in theory, use it for a little bit of plant denial as well, or you know, if somebody's trying to quick plant somewhere. So if you're banning away an Ella, and you may be supplementing that with a Denari ban or maybe a Form ban, that might be the route that's going on. You want to play shields, you want to play preset stuff, you want to play fast.
Yeah, trying to get rid of as much utility as possible, especially because Denari is a huge crutch for VP. They play it on almost every bomb site. Top floor, they have this huge Denari setup, controlling the admin side, and the shield facing towards top spiral, facing long death. And they've had it also on the piano bomb site, so not surprised to see it removed.
Think about Consulate. We're seeing it from a top-down perspective right now. Look at how thin and claustrophobic and small a lot of these places are. Element, Denari lasers, like shields, all of that comes so strong. Even barbed wire, like 2 operators gotten rid of will give the attack so much more breathing room, or it'll feel like it at least.
Yeah, let's be honest, though, Virtus.pro got quite some rounds on attack on the board. Now for them to finish off on the better side on their map pick.
Thank you very much, Anne. Of course, the worry is always 2 halves to a game of Siege to maybe Falcons come out and have an absolute blind-driven attack in half here. Take the series 2-0. I do want to see it go to about 3. I would love to see these 2 teams throw down on Lair. Both very, very good on that map. And truthfully, I think that's probably the way that we're going. As much as I think, you know, Falcons have got it in the tank to be able to go and pull out 4 attacks here and see it done, or even 3 and get us to overtime. I think with it being Virtus.pro's favourite map, they certainly aren't about to roll over and just let them win it.
Yeah, if we look at Falcons and their attacking win rate, historically, they're at 50%, and that's across 26 rounds. So it's a really decent number of rounds. They've just been hit straight off the rip with a Nitro. That's your hard breach gone as well. That's the Selma charges. You've basically got no other hard breach on side. So things like the closet wall are going to stay closed. Big problems for Falcons.
The question now really is if Virtus.pro realise who they've killed, because if they have, then like you say, you can start playing in that spot far more comfortably than you did before. June just making sure there'll be no crazy reinforcements coming out into that soft wall as well. Charge, just sprint down there and make sure yellow stays closed. It will be absolute car crash territory. But for now, they've got themselves at least inside where they need to. Now I want to try and force anyone out who's inside a bathroom, which there is currently no one, but of course we'll chew through utility at the same time. You've seen the first of those 20 Shumakers in Nako's back pocket come firing out towards top yellow.
Demos going to be working underneath, just waiting for the scan to be activated. We see a couple of people getting pinged out by those Grim Bees as well, so absolute ton of utility being used by Falcons at the minute to gather that intel. Virtus.pro just having to soak this up, but I like the timing of that Toxic Babe canister. Goes out, recognises, look, we've got Grim Bees in here, we've got Demos track coming in. This could be a point where they try to push forward, so out go the Toxic Babe canisters just to try and slow that down. They're completely unaware of Rorik in his rat spot, and he manages to get one. Pasha on another. Breeder does some damage, but it's probably all over for Falcons now. Users left in a 1v4. Diffuser down, 58 seconds on the clock. Drops. It's going to be challenged immediately on this corner. Can't find the kill. Skies gets his man, and that's going to be Virtus.pro taking their first defense, and that is not what Falcons wanted to see. It's 4-3.
Right, really abusing the fact that chewed through so many of the drones in that round as well. Really good stuff. And I think we're having a quick rehost here as well, just to get some observers back into the games. We, of course, can give you guys all the wonderful scenic camera views that we sometimes get throughout these games as well. And it gives the boys a little bit of time just to sit and sweat there over the thought of, wow, we've been absolutely battered on that first attack. Like, how do we turn this one around then? Because it was really good from Virtus.pro. Really good, solid start. And as I said, with this being their map pick, you probably would favour them to be able to run away and get this one done and take us into map 3 over to Lair. Lair.
I think at this point
Lair.
Everybody wants to see a bit of Lair. You just know.
I can only imagine how much overwork your mouth must have to do then to say it that way.
Be very, very careful saying that. Just looking through this one on console as well, the entry was something I focused on Clubhouse, and we were seeing a lot of failure to back up the entry kill with the round. It's actually been 100% this time, so big difference there. Teams, once they get that opening kill, are taking full advantage of it. So far, 7 entries have been converted. It's 4 in favour of Virtus.pro, obviously, because the score is 4-3, and 3 going over to Falcons. But overall, you know, it's something Virtus.pro have done very well on so far today, is the entry. And I think getting the next couple, if they can, you know, pick up 8 and 9, give themselves that advantage, really make Falcons feel like they're under pressure at that point, that they're constantly fighting from behind. I think that is how we find ourselves on that third map.
I do want to touch on a stat that's actually really interesting from today as well, because it has just been a shooting gallery, quite literally. The star power on both these teams. Normally we talk about star power and we'll think about a team like G2, but in this game alone, from a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've had 14 multi-kills in a map and a half. A multi-kill being a 3K or better. It has just been ludicrous. In fact, in the second half of Clubhouse alone, we had 7. You might hear that and go, Des, there's 6 rounds to a half. How have we had 7? And that's because Dan had a 3K and Leaky Pack had a 4K in exactly the same round. Which again just goes to show the star power has been absolutely unbelievable from both teams today. Every player getting involved. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, it's what you want out of a matchup like this, is it? You know, sometimes you'll get a big matchup and one of the teams maybe doesn't show up, doesn't play their best, a couple of players on an off day, but certainly not been the case between these two. It's been absolutely huge on both sides, the team's being led by those leaders as well. Pasha, Leaker Fight, they're top in terms of kills for both teams respectively, and everybody's really putting a shift in here and really enjoying watching it. I think everybody is at this point. It's just been absolutely beautiful. It's one of them where you kind of wishing for overtime on console, you're wishing for lair, you're wishing for overtime. There, you know, let's just get every round of this that we can, because right now it is pure siege entertainment.
Plenty more to come, I'm sure, as well. As we say, Lair probably is going to be on the way if things carry on the way that they are. Very shocked if we don't find ourselves going there. You know what I'm quite sad about this week, Tim, is that EML is coming to an end for this stage. And people might hear it and go, what you said about EML ending? And I'm like, well, not particularly. I'm more sad that it's over before we get a chance to play France in the World Cup final on Sunday night. I want to be there on Monday talking absolute shit to Leo when we slap France 3-1.
I mean, it's a bold strategy, Des. You know, it's a bold call. It's a bold wish. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see it. But I don't think there's going to be many people backing the likelihood of that, if I'm honest. You know, England have been doing pretty well. I think we've got a final in us. I don't know if anybody have got beating France in them at this tournament. They've been very, very good. But 3-1 against France in the final.
Non-believer, man.
It would be lovely. Don't get me wrong.
I swear you were all negative Nelly about our last 2 games as well. You didn't think we beat Mexico. You didn't think we managed to beat Norway. Yeah, here we are.
I did
and
say we'd beat
like,
Norway.
Oh, we can't beat them.
I was confident. I was confident for Norway. I did say we'd beat them. I
don't know about that.
Mexico was always going to be a tough one, but we played fine. If we can play like that, then I think we can probably beat anybody. But the point is that performance stood out because it was different from what we've seen from England so far.
The number of times I've had to tell people to lock in and just believe that it's coming.
Oh, I'm locked.
It's ridiculous.
I'm locked. Don't you worry about it. I'm there ready. I've always said.
It definitely was you. It definitely was you. Because she was like, oh, I'm just being realistic. I'm like, no, Tim, you're being negative Nelly. Lock in. Back
You always tell me that. But no, I did genuinely think for Norway, I thought, this is one that we should be winning, really. And it was a good game. It was a tough game. But yeah, overall, I've always said if I can just see England win one international tournament, Euros or World Cup, if I can just have that experience of winning a final and seeing them lift a trophy, then I'll be happy for life. That'll do me.
Yeah, fair. You probably see
amongst other things. I'm talking
now, so.
in sporting terms, in sporting terms. But
yeah. We're playing golf.
Well, I've seen that. I wanted to see
the Ryder Cup. You see us win that a few times.
I've seen us win the Ryder Cup. I wanted to see Rory McIlroy complete the Grand Slam, get all 4 major wins, which obviously he did at the Masters, not last year, the year before. He won it. Well, Masters this year, he won for the second time. He won it last year for the Grand Slam. So yeah, that was another big one. I'm a big golf fan, so I was actually at the practice day yesterday for the Open. But yeah, it was. Yeah, that was another big sporting moment that I enjoyed.
Absolutely. All right, let's see how things go now. We're back into things. Thanks for sticking with us and waffle about football as per usual. Always good to have a little bit of talk. I don't want to speak about Villa today. It's been a horrible day, so we'll leave that one for now. They're seeing VP. I just think about Villa Park, and that makes you sad all over
10
again.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, that's the thing. Basement is going to beat him. Let's see how we lock in for this defense while I go and wipe away my tears.
You don't need to have any tears yet, Des. Let's see if there's going to be any tears in this game, though, because that is going to get decided a lot sooner. So, 4-3 it stands. Virtus.pro are on the better end of that. They will be defending down in the basement of console at this time. Around, ooh, early damage done to Dan, trying to get aggressive into yellow there. June takes some licks in return as well, as he just finds a few shots from outside of the yellow. I tell you what, the infinite range on Twitch now makes it really tough to defend mirrors, doesn't it? If you can get a nice long angle there, shooting all the way through from that back corridor, straight through to the front of cafeteria, very difficult to prevent that. You really need somebody kind of body blocking it to force that Twitch drone to get in a little bit closer, but that's actually a big loss of utility for Virtus.pro.
I've really enjoyed the changes that she's gone through over the years, from firing these pilly little like string bullets at people, not being able to aim above
not
certain levels. You couldn't shoot default cams, you can't be able to jump. She's come on a long way. She's really got some power packed into them drones now. They can both jump, they can fire infinite lasers. She's got a little like, nuclear reactor inside them bad boys, is what I will say. But either way, last time around we saw her being picked up earlier on in this game, it was very much a bait, if you remember. Killed the shot drone, comes off it, and then Dan just gets domed by leaking back immediately after. It was horrible. So still very much under threat and a very much easy one to bait away if you're not too careful. Either way, we've got Leakervac inside here. He's got himself now shot out on that shock drone. That's not super ideal, but they are getting the feel of what's going on downstairs. A lot of utility to worry about in the form of the jammers, in the form of the Kai Electro Claws, the mirrors. Lots of things that Falcons have got to worry about.
I'm not sure. I could be wrong in saying this because I'm not like a big lore expert for Siege. I know a decent amount, but I'm not like completely mad into it. But I'm sure, is it not Mirror that actually improved and did like the engineering on the Twitch drones? Like, Mirror, what are you doing to yourself? Like, why have you done that? You've just given them the answers.
You know what, just a real team player. Doesn't mind losing as long as someone else gets to have a good time.
That's why I've always liked Mirror. That's why I've always liked Mirror. So
do you feel a Mirror inside, do you, Tim?
It's just a kindred spirit. Kill comes in. It's going to be Twitch. It's Leakervac picking up Mirror. What are the chances? Rorik gets taken down. So long as Leakervac's having a good time, maybe Mirror will be happy. We're going to see the pocket EMP come out. I know it'll be the Thatcher, actually, that's going to take that down. Going to give an opportunity to get that wall breached. Dan does find a kill as well Muller's popping a auto canister on the wall, so he's stopping the breaching. He's finding the kills. He's doing everything right now. Brede manages to find Neko, though. Falcons starting to get aggressive. Skies with one, but Solotov with the answer. There's the trade. 3 versus 2. 10 seconds left to go. Falcons, they need to make a move. They need to get it done. Brede's putting the diffuser down. Pasha's trying to fight his way back in. Dan was down, but not out. That's going to be a round closed out for Falcons. Good attack there. Good attack.
Yeah, really good. Much better and more composed as well compared to what we saw back in that first one. So, and now pulsing's all equal again. And this is where you start feeling a bit nervous of Virtus.pro. I thought we might find them pulling into the lead a little bit. And they're starting to establish themselves as a very, very comfortable spot to be like, you know what? This is ours to walk over. We'll go into lair no matter which way you look at it. With an attack like that, I'm suddenly not so completely convinced. And it could still yet be that 2-0 to Falcons that I was fearful of earlier.
You just look at it, don't you? And it's... I've got a real overtime feeling about this one. I've got a real overtime feeling, and then it'll depend, I think, who starts on what side. I know it'll be 3-3 halves, so you'd argue there isn't like an advantage. But I think if we've got Virtus.pro on the defense in overtime, I think they probably will win that. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And given that Falcons were the sort, I'd expect Virtus.pro to win. This is not confirmation, but I would expect them to be on the defense because it's their map pick, so they will have chose the starting side for overtime, and I'd have thought that they would take the defensive side. So let's see how it shakes down. 4-4. Falcons may need to get this one done in the next few rounds. They might need to find that magic 7 scoreline before Virtus.pro can get on to 6, as it could be a real tough ask in overtime. Straight away, Solotov up onto that half roof. He's just going to be looking on in through connector window. I don't think anybody's going to give him an opportunity there, though.
Nah, certainly shouldn't. I mean, it's almost like it feels like a reverse of what we saw coming out previously on the top floor hit from Virtus.pro. Of course, attacking a different site altogether. The lineup itself from Falcons is very much focused on the execute. Again, that Thatcher somewhat looking in towards the Nile, but I think more in towards the Warden and the Clash, in all honesty, that will then give room for an execute to go on through from Brede or somebody else. They're going to make sure they're kept at bay. No doubt the Cult's coming to be able to suppress either the Warden or the Clash at the same time. Maybe even the Soulless as well will be an option for them. It's more being wary of the trap operators early on that could quite literally catch them in a bit of a trap and see 1 or 2 finished off, that I think we need to see the defenders, the attackers be careful of.
Got Thatcher up on the roof, just picking up anything he can, really. It was a default cam, I think. Oh, just got disabled there. That's not ideal. Big loss or waste of utility from Joomies. I know, honestly, seems to have a little bit of a rough night of it tonight, Joom. It seems to just be, yeah, it just seems to be one thing after another for him, and it continues as his Swiss Candela goes awry. Next one will go into bathroom. Doesn't really give him an opportunity to move forward just yet. His teammate does take a little bit of ground on the back of it. So it is a piano attack. Looking for that top floor control, but to be honest, they still don't have it. You've got Pasha and Rorik up there. You've got Neko up there. You've got Skies up there. 4 still above. A lot of work, a lot of utility, a lot of time from Falcons, but not a lot of progress.
They've tried to make a move with things like, you know, a call coming out. We've had a Candela go on through. We've had all kinds of pressure. A lot of the Grim Bees coming out too, but they've kind of said, no, we don't need to leave. We've got a Clash up here. We're perfectly fine, guys. This don't bother us. We've also, of course, got the Warden to play behind. You're going to have to really come in and fight us or risk trying to make a play just happen on site itself. And Dan is the one ready, able to defend, and there comes the flank coming on through. Rorik nearly messing that one up, but no, 1 kill goes his way. 2nd to Pasha. Brede trades at least 1 back. Dan is still here. Surely they know now that they certainly do. Eyes being locked in, Brede taking a bit of damage, and Dan's a little bit better in the moment. Basher good for another. Skies to close out. Virtus.pro, they hold their ground and give nothing to Falcons, and they go up 5-4.
Beautiful kill from Dan there on the Blackbeard. Brede inside a sight. Could have been an absolute menace there, but Dan takes the pot shots at the feet, but then as soon as that shield gets dropped, it's just the casual flick up to the head. Just perfect head level with the crosshair. Bang, gets the job done. And that sees us now at 5-4 to Virtus.pro with our next bans coming on through. I dare say we might see a little bit of the Clash ban coming in. We have just seen it played by an Aquo, so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But no, it's going to be Thorn and Glaz that are taken away.
All right. I mean, the Thorn, obviously, you get away with one of the trap operators, but you leave a Denari, for example. The Glaz on the other side, we didn't see it played, but both teams have been clearly quite fearful of it. We've seen the bans come away across both maps now, you know, more than once. even though it hasn't really been run all that much. I think it was once back on Clubhouse we got it seen playing by Necro. Outside of that, he was permanently sat on shields as a good example. So I think it's more the fear of what could happen rather than what is happening with that ban. The Thorn we've seen in 2 of those 3 rounds, that makes total sense to come out.
Yeah, as we, we've already spoken about Thorn. We've already said, how good she is when it comes to that area denial. Now that the detonation time on those Razor Blooms was brought down a little bit, it's certainly more effective and just really useful. Has the option of the secondary shield, which is very useful, or alternatively and more commonly brought along the barbed wire. So you think about it, we've spoken about this before, Des, the Razor Blooms, you got 4 of them, you got 2 barbed wire, so you can effectively cut down 6 routes, 6 entry methods in towards the site. It is a huge amount of control for the defenders, so very valuable ban, I think.
Yeah, she's just ludicrous. Like, you and I often speak about playing her in ranked all the time because she just offers so much. As you explained there, 6 spots that she can watch, all 3 trap. Otherwise, the denial was available. Of course it wasn't. They were the 2 bans you've seen taken away, so now you've got the full trifecta being denied away from Virtus.pro. I look at that and think Falcons are saying they want to go a little bit quicker here. They don't want to find themselves being run down by utility, basically. But as we kind of saw in the last round, Virtus.pro sort of said, okay, we'll run Clash. We'll run a little bit of Goyo. We can run Kaid. We can run, like you're seeing in this round, Chanka and the Smoke for a lot of denial. So although they're not getting to play the trap operator game, be able to maybe play as aggressively as they'd like to around the map, they can still play to slow things down here. And Falcons have still got a lot of utility they've got to work their way through if they have any hope of winning this round.
I'll tell you, it's just outside of this match for a very quick second, but still very relevant. I'm loving how competitive EML is, and I'm judging that on the basis that we've had 5 matches played in playoffs so far, not including this one. I'm just thinking about the likelihood of this one going to Lair, and that's what's brought this to mind, because it'll be going to a 3rd map. Out of those 5 games, only 1 of them has been 2-0, and that was GK beating Rebels. Otherwise, everything has gone to 3 maps, and that just screams at the depth and quality that there is inside of EML, especially with teams like G2 dropping to the lower bracket, and it's still being, I mean, they lost theirs, but it's still being 3 map matches, down in that 5th place decide between G2 and Rebels. 3 mapper again. Just, yeah, so much quality.
Okay, let's see how long this game plays out for now. Very much dug in here inside of Break is Rorik as well. You can see all the electrification on those walls, everything reinforced off. And I'd say limited hard breach on the other side. Not a whole ton of options with which to deal with these walls. Yes, they've got themselves a spot where they can toss over the frag grenades, and yes, they've got the gadgets in the back pocket of Burrito to deal with that. But will it be enough? The flash coming up over the top as a nade lands in front. Pretty sure that Electroclaw is still intact though at this point, Tim, so they won't be able to open that wall. They're going to have to fight their way through. Virtus.pro could make this really hard for them.
Yeah, the defenders do need to be careful here, though, because once this wall gets opened up, obviously that's the time to leave, but they've been cut off. That's what I was saying they needed to be careful about, and that was overstaying their welcome, and they've overstayed it there. They've lost their life. It's really good teamwork from Falcons coming in. They've dealt with that. However, they have used a lot of utility to clear that position. They've got deployable shields to play into. They've got other utility that they need to deal with. So is that going to prove to be too costly? Solotov seeing his opportunity, but just looking at the wrong point as Dan goes for the repeat and finds his man. 4 versus 4.
Smartest memories in through, and here we go from long range in for the top rope. It's leaking back in towards sight, but can he find the kills at the back of it? Yes, he can. Pasha, uncharacteristic shot being missed by him. Now means the backside is exposed, but no. Covered out there from Skies, gets rid of leaking back. Either way, still not in a good spot. That is a brilliant smoke. We'll finish off Brede. June was taking a good chunk of damage at the same time. The fire from Necro was raining on down Tim, and this is where utility starts to come into its own. They can waste a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah, they're just going to have to look for the kills here realistically, but look at how low health they are. It's going to be up to June. We said, no, it's users, sorry, last left alive. Necro has 4 more Shamika canisters and they would do the job, but he's ready for the fight.
He can fire all day.
He can just hold mouse one. There is going to be no waiting for that. Users has to push on into the LMG, loses his life, and Virtus.pro hold on, but Falcons nearly got it done then.
They were very close, but that frustration of playing against a Smoke and a Chanker as the last 2. Oh, Yeah, you can't play a Thorn to waste to be able to spread out and, of course, catch a lot of people pushing in, but you can sure as hell deny large parts of the map in a 2 versus 2 with wonderful stuff. And I do really like this play from Leakerback as well. So patient outside. That kill onto Pasha was crucial. Just really unfortunate they get picked off by Skies. Otherwise, Skies is the one getting challenged, but because they have no other backline threat, well, there's just really no big worry to come off the back of it. If nothing else, Pasha was good to be there as a second man to almost be the alert that gave away the position over towards Skies. But that meant he could win that 1v1 on towards Leakerback. Wonderful stuff. Virtus.pro at 6 and 4, Tim. Feels like Lair is all that much closer now. One more round and it will take all 3 maps to separate these 2 teams.
It's certainly calling, isn't it? As I said, I would expect Virtus.pro to have chosen the defensive side should it go to overtime. They've now guaranteed themselves that as a minimum. So, like you say, you really do have to start weighing it in favour of Virtus.pro right now. Leakerback will be switching onto the ace. We've got these the banner for Solotov as well, so quite a lot of hard breach possibilities there. I'm interested to see. The teams quite often now will play from that rear side. They don't really look for the main garage to be opened up. Leakerback has started on that side, so let's keep an eye on whether they do choose to go for that main breach or not.
Loading new mag.
And Echo always makes me curious. Because so many times you'll see it picked up, and I say this a lot about a number of operators, whether it's a Scott Pass, an Oryx, an Echo here. We all kind of see that high fantasy of an operator of like, wow, they pull off an incredible clutch. An Oryx hops up through a hack. Scott Pass pulls off a Marto play. Or an Echo, of course, interrupts a plant while we're there with 0 seconds left on the clock. It's also about the information that you get from bringing along the Echo. Like, yes, you can still see those drones now. They're very easy to shoot out. They're not invisible like they used to be. That is an excellent little bit of bait as C4 almost finding Bride too, but he still stays standing. But to finish off that point, it's the information that's now going to get fed around. You can see one of them is even upstairs. They know what's happening upstairs without even playing up there, Tim. They're downstairs right now on the site itself, but it lets them know who is pushing where and what's going on.
Yeah, it feels like Falcons might have missed that man on the top floor. Rorick getting himself a real easy one, and he's going to stay up there. Falcons have got a decision to make. Do they ignore him or do they try to chase him down? The call is going to go in, but it ain't going to work because he's stood on a mute jammer. It does block it if it is at the point of the call coming through. That is still the case. And if you step into it after the call starts, then no, it won't matter. But Rorick had kind of predicted that. He was one step ahead. But he gets to keep his phone and he gets to stay on track, for now at least, because we will see that track come on through and he's just going to ignore it and let his phone detonate. Oh, no.
Ooh, sees the gun.
Did get in time.
Setting breach charge.
Scotch to chase after him now, though. No way. Rorick on the reverse, but Leakerback's there for the trade. Not quite the end of the world, but again, you don't mind losing the Goyo in this spot. His gadgetry is already all deployed. He can happily go and sit on cams now, and the rest of you are still going to face off in a 3 versus 3, where Virtus.pro looking like a far stronger team. A C4 to play behind, and those Yokai cams. Still a lot for Falcons to get done here with those smokes, and a single Candela that remains in pocket.
3 versus 3. It's going to be a tense finish with 30 seconds left to go. Don't have a workable breach in this front side yet. Leakerback's going to look to change that. Gives them multiple targets to worry about through that mirror window, but they're not going to try to disrupt that breaching at all. 15 seconds left to go. Falcons absolutely scrambling right now, but into the line of sight of Dan goes 1, goes 2. Solotov manages to get the trade 1v2. Skies picks him up, and that is going to be Virtus.pro taking map 2.
Don't, but it's about as close to even as you can get.
I think this game's going to be about as close to even as you can get, because I don't see either of these running away with it. They've both been playing very well so far. They've both had great passages of play. I think that's likely to continue here. We could, you know, Virtus.pro have got the better record. Falcons, it's a higher preference for. So, look, whichever way you look at it, it seems to, you know, not really give any clear answers. The banning phase will come through. Falcons take away Bandit and Kaid, so that's going to try to speed up the entry and speed up their play. Let's keep an eye on that, see how much of an impact that has. The way that we can do that is, you know, look at that maybe minute mark, minute 30 into the round. Where are they located? What space have they taken? Virtus.pro will ban away the Monte. That's targeted at Bride, and it's going to be the Grim as well.
All right, that's going to get us off to an interesting start then. Again, we've seen shields be a big part of the gameplay overall, more so for Virtus.pro. So they're taking the one away from the other side here. And although back in map 1 we saw what we would define as very relatively standard bans, we did see both teams play around them brilliant. So yes, the Electro Bros are gone, but it probably means the Falcons have got something in mind here and how they can play around and through that. On the other side, the Grim being taken away is no massive surprise. It's again one of the operators that, like I said, back on Consulate, I would expect to be taken away from Falcons. It is one of their go-tos. So I think here just realising, okay, you know, actually that was kind of annoying back on Consulate. Let's just see it gone on Lair. Lair. Should we just flip for the whole map and you call it Lair, I'll call it Lair.
Oh, that's not going to last more than a minute until I forget. Right, in we go. It's the top floor, and Breeder has had his Monty taken away, but the Blackbeard will remain, so he's going to bring it along immediately. Solotov on the ace. It's going to be about opening mask wall, which is going to be the immediate approach, and then it's going to be getting control of Ops. Get that line of sight across mezzanine, open up the external. Ooh,
oh, you missed it all.
Big miss there. 2 impact nades wasted effectively, not taking the Selma off the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but you could have at least slowed things down. And I say it wouldn't have been the end of the world because Solotov only used the 1 Selma. He sort of has 2 more with which to use. It does limit where else it can be used, because now if he wants to, he can rotate round to Ops and make use of it. 1, to get open this double wall that you just saw a second ago, on towards Mez itself being removed and blown open. And then also the default plant spot going in towards site itself on the other side of Mask. So it was the right idea from Dan to try and block it away, although again, at least they managed to get the main wall opened up, which is what they were starting with. Now they can focus on the rest.
So Ops wall comes next. That's going to give the line of sight down mezzanine, take out the default cam. Just going to mean that the defenders have got to be a little bit more careful about where they move, where they rotate. Particularly back towards site, they're going to have to go back past bathroom and around through display instead. That's going to give now Falcons the opportunity. The third and final Selma charge needs to go on the other mask wall, the one opposite the external breach that they've already done, and that gives access into that default plant spot. So a little bit of pressure coming on that far side as well now from Breeder as he moves across Skybridge. I like this from Falcons, just trying to stretch Virtus.pro, trying to make it difficult for them on multiple fronts. Dan and Pasha have suffered some chip damage along the way.
Looking towards Solly and where he makes use of that last one, to be fair, hasn't bothered with the one inside of Ops itself, instead of rotating over towards the top side to join up with Breeder and get control of that side of the map together. Leak back underneath. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. Friendly on friendly, fire on fire. Not ideal now, so that's it. Leaking back underneath, also still fishing above, and we'll get rid of the smoke. The first one in Pasha, not the end of the world. To lose the player, yes. The operator, no. In Sky's case, losing the operator is the big problem.
Breeder doesn't look down quick enough, leaves his feet exposed, and that's going to allow Dan to escape. I was going to say I expect him to be the next track. He was in behind the desk in that power spot for the defenders, so it was Leakafac's job to try and get in there and get him cleared out, which he will do. Manages to find the kill as well. 4 versus 2 now. Access to the plant spot. It all comes down to the Tachanka, but...
Well, that's certainly a way of turning it around on the spot, Tim. Goodbye.
That really finished what I was saying, didn't it? I was going to say it's all down to the Tachanka, but that leaves Rorik in a 1v2. You know, it's very, very difficult now if he's going to put the gun away so that he can use the Shamika launcher. Rorik says, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I've got a nitro, and I'm going to show you what these do. Breeder, you've got a lot of nitro kills. Well, here's coming some back towards you. Great stuff from Virtus.pro to hold on.
It has been a lot of C4 kills throughout this game, and I think probably even more than that, the count of rounds that have come down to the clock being dangerously low and the final kill coming at a spot where it's just arguably such a killer for the other side. They've run out of time to be able to make any adjustments. If they lose a player there, the round is over and done, and Virtus.pro have done that despite Falcons. I don't want to say Falcons doing things brilliantly well, because honestly a lot of it came down to Leakafak. He had those 2 kills from downstairs, getting Skies to begin with and then collecting Dan after he managed to get rid of Breeder. So a lot of that round very much like fell on the shoulders of Leakafak himself. Yes, Stu managed to get himself a single kill as well, but as we saw, the big blowback from Virtus.pro was what really got them in charge of the round and saw them over the line. So not bad from Falcons, but they played it well. Just came up against Virtus.pro with not enough time on the clock to be able to adapt once those 2 or 3 kill flurry came through towards the back end of it. 1-0 Virtus.pro on Lair.
Yeah, I mean, a multi-kill Nitro, it's one of them, isn't it? You know, if you get hit with it, it's always going to swing the round. It's always going to have a huge impact on things. You know, like I agree. I actually like what Falcons had done up to that point. I think they'd worked fantastically well. And Virtus.pro just had one of those moments where you've got to look and say, you know, the luck is either with or against you, depending on which side of that Nitro you fall on. But I'm going to have Dan just holding the tight angle. He sees his opportunity, does a bit of damage for Solitov, who was going to be looking for that entry into the top side of the map, maybe try and come down through filtration. We've seen a lot of use of the army tonight as well, a lot of good use, really influential operator. We know that at the best of times, but tonight they've really squeezed every drop of value out of those keeper barricades.
And probably surprisingly for the first series in forever, obviously not a single ban coming into water either. And for the longest time, she was almost essentially a perma-ban, but I think now people are realizing, honestly, we can deal with her. We can find other ways to deal with things that get thrown at us otherwise. Like bringing along nades is a good example. DMRs, as we know, can be quite good for dealing with them. Doesn't mean in the moment itself she isn't all frustrating as hell to try and deal with anyway. And Dan has certainly made it difficult for Falcons multiple times tonight.
Nade goes in to clear out a little bit of utility. Got your canister gone, but it's going to be another 20-30 seconds before that route is passable. So we're getting down towards the 1 minute mark without Falcons being able to get control of filtration. They do have above. They have been working it. Makerfact's been doing the job with the sledgehammer, but not really in a position yet to maneuver Breedy on into sight and get him in a plant spot. They need to clear filtration for that. A minute 10 left to go. Smoke canister comes out. That will be the final one now for Pasha, so he's going to need a little bit of assistance beyond that. But he steps around and gets one. Breedy manages to get the trade, but how much damage has Pasha done there? 50 seconds left.
And how much time they can keep on wasting. I was going to say, look at the operator that's on side once again. Naquo on the Yokais, like... They were a bit of a nuisance last time around. They won the round. It wasn't off the back of the Yokais, but the Yokais were blasting away in the final gunfight that ultimately saw them win the round. So I'm just a little bit wary that once again, Falcons have been able to deal with those Yokais. This time around, their impact could be far larger given there is a shield on side, but also because that clock is running dangerously low.
Needs to be careful here. Doom takes a tickle of damage, but will do a lot more in return. Manages to find a nice headshot onto Skies. Is there another for him? Dan needs to be careful, taking a little bit of damage on the army there. 3 versus 4, 14 seconds left to go. Like you say, it's really going to come down to Naquo and these Echo drones. Doom manages to find Dan. That's going to be it now. Naquo doesn't have a choice. He can't really just stay on the drones. He's going to be pushed. He's going to be killed. He's going to be taken down. Falcons really ripping that round out of the hands of Virtus.pro.
I was a bit nervous for a while they'd lose out to a lot of that utility. I mentioned with the bans that we've seen coming through previously on the last map, you know, we had triple trap operators taken away, and we'd see a lot of stall coming out. That has then very much rolled over onto this map. You've seen Goyo in the 2 rounds, just in Smoke. Of course, we've just seen the Echo coming along as well. Like, we've had the Azami be ever present. They really are just trying to waste as much time as they can. It feels like every time we jump to a different Falcons player's POV, there's fire or smoke in front of them, and it's like, yeah, sorry guys, you can't move forward. You're going to have to wait and be patient. And again, this is Virtus.pro trying to punish, I think, Falcons and their propensity to be quite slow sometimes, even with a blitz from side, but it's really trying to force them to gather up around bottlenecks, and that is where you'd hope Virtus.pro would be able to get a kill or two, as Falcons have just shown, though. A June 4K, well, we spoke about where he might beat him. It was a June Bellingham round. He certainly got his team over the line, one apiece.
And the multi-kills continue. We spoke about how many there has been, how many of those big star player moments.
Actually, across the series.
You do, you need to,
I'll let you know.
Need to get it updated, because Doom just adds another one onto the list. We're going to head into round 3. It's going to be, interestingly, down in the basement again. So, Virtus.pro on the defense are not going to move on. Having lost down in the basement, they think they were close. They think they can get it done. It is going to change up their rotation of sites. Means they're not going to be playing the mid floor. I really like the mid floor on Lyle recently. I think we're seeing teams having a lot of success with it because teams on the attack are struggling to clear that top floor, and so it's starting to see that site held on to, you know, a lot more of the time. But Virtus.pro for now deciding that they would rather go back down to the basement and give it a try down there. Breedy, he's looking to get himself in through shooting range.
I wondered there for a second, did he actually see the man? But I don't think he did. It's Rorik that was just tucked in behind the barrel. Sprung up just as he stepped away. It would have been a bit of an unfortunate demise coming out for Leaky back. I tell you what, Tim, obviously we have the pleasure of being able to see the outlines of the players, and just the number of times there we've come quite close, Leaky back, to coming into a challenge onto someone, probably without realizing it. It's pretty ludicrous, but comes away full HP, no worries at all. The Falcons continue their march through the map.
Yep, same job again for Falcons, trying to clear top filtration stairs, gain themselves access. They essentially want to send Breeder down there with the diffuser plant inside of the door. It's a really good plant spot if you can get the coverage from above with that verticality. They've got users on the ram. It's going to be his job to create those lines of sight. They need to keep Breeder safe. But again, they have to deal with all that utility and with Pasha, who I think it will... No, Pasha's actually a little bit deeper this time. It's Nako playing up there on the smoke. It was Pasha last time. So first Goyo canister is popped. Going to be about the minute mark before that clears out. And they've got more that can be wasted. They've got smoke canisters. They've got another...
It's more the same, man.
Yeah, more of this. They're just going to burn... They can burn near enough the entire rest of the round here. So Falcons have got to find a way through it. They've got to get aggressive.
Or go elsewhere. 2 smokes, Shumakers, and we're down to less than 60. Oh, it's brutal. Assuming, of course, they all try to push into a bottleneck and they're all going to stand on the exact same spot where the Shumakers would otherwise sit. This is what I mean, though. Look, every POV you change to, the smoke or the fire, or in some very rare cases, Tim, both.
It's going to be the final toxic bear cast. I feel like Nako's been a bit quick with some of that. I think, you know, there was... he wanted the fire and the smoke at the same time, because I think he was worried about the Blitz just charging through the smoke if there was just one of them there. So he's, you know, had to kind of double up. Skies manages to take down Doom, and Falcons, they've just completely stalled out, to be honest with you, Des. They haven't had the answer to those top filtration stairs, and they've just never been able to get moving. Pasha manages to pick up Solotov. We can hear boogie drone, but it's going to do absolutely nothing realistically. Breeder manages to get one, finds himself in a 1v3 as he gets a second, but surely this is not going to be possible now. Virtus.pro, they know he's there. The damage is done. The smoke goes down, but there's nothing he can do. Skies with the last kill. It's going to be Virtus.pro holding on this time, and we see why they've doubled down on that position and gone back there in their defensive rotation.
It feels like a broken record now, but again, same thing. Play stall, waste time, slow them down. You can see why they were so like confident being able to go downstairs. They could see what worked, I think, the prior time, and just realized also what didn't work the prior time. Their stall game was brilliant. When they got rolled over on site, less brilliant. So clean up those couple of things that led to them getting rolled over, and hey presto, they've got a very, very comfortable round win. I imagine now they'll just go straight back upstairs, and if they can, try and avoid, of course, going to that second floor. But the first floor, I guess we've placed it into siege terms. They will have to do it though if they win that top floor. First and foremost though, Falcons in with attack timeout, clearly feel. And once again, same as on our previous map, that there is work to be done here. They don't like how they're falling behind.
I think the work that needs to be done for Falcons, for me, is there needs to be one of two things: problem solving quicker or more flexible. Because twice they've attacked that site. They got away with it the first time. They didn't the second time, and it was predictable because they've just spent so much of the round stood looking at top filtration stairs, and oh, there's another Goyo canister been popped. Let's wait another 20 seconds. Oh, there's some more smoke there. Let's wait another 20 seconds. And they've just watched the round burn away from them. So then, yes, they are reduced to these hatch drops and these risky plays. And also, they're so focused on that one location that they're getting hit on flanks. They're getting hit, you know, all over the map because they're not able to keep a tab on where everybody is and everything that's happening. So one of two things. It's either get better at brute forcing through those problems and moving through it quicker, you know, whatever that looks like for somewhere like top filtration stairs, or alternatively be a little bit more flexible and say, do you know what, this is not working, we've been here before, we're not going to waste another minute 40 trying to get through this. Let's go to warehouse, let's go and try a hatch drop, let's try something else, let's see you know, how well they can deal with, say, the warehouse push when they don't have all those oil canisters to play behind. Yes, maybe the smoke can relocate down there and use a couple of toxic air canisters, but that's going to be about the best that the defenders can do. So yeah, a little bit more flexibility, Falcons, a little bit more adaptability.
5 seconds to insertion.
Speaking of adaptability, Tim, you know what, when one shield ain't working, let's just run two. Blackbeard and the Blitz coming out, but well matched on the other side by the clash of Nako and the usual suspects in terms of stalls. So Virtus.pro probably also with their own good read on the back of this one. Of course, the Chanka taken away. No, they don't have that. Plus the poke anymore. Combo they've ran quite a bit. So this is their alternative. It's another method of stall. It's not quite fire, but it is still going to be very, very frustrating for the other side to have to deal with. And Nako there. Lucky to have that shield on his back, Tim. Otherwise, that is a very dead clash.
Yeah, you really don't want to be losing clash when you've got a Blitz and a Blackbeard in front of you. Of course, that shield break, you know, being so valuable. If they get hit with the electricity of the clash shield, it just leaves them completely defenseless. So need to be very, very quick. I've already commented once or twice on Nako's movements on those shields. He was during setup, don't get me wrong. I know exactly, you know, he was just trying to get himself back into his playing position, and it was Falcon's speed that nearly hurt him there, but they certainly don't want to lose the clash. So keep an eye on Nako. Let's make sure that he doesn't over-aggress. At the minute, he's got himself in R6 room. And he just kind of needs to play the time game here and predict where these shields are going to aggress from, because that's where he needs to be.
And we've seen very much a two-pronged push at the minute as well, right? One trying to come in through upside, one working his way towards Skybridge, where Bride now has got himself into. So, not a bad spot. So, to be fair, more the shield supported in getting control of Ops, and now completely rotated way towards topside. They want to force those players that are out of green and outside of hanging around topside of like R6 room, and then probably look here trying to make some pressure happen across site. That's why Dan is dug into quite a precarious spot at the moment. Past another player starting to ask questions in behind him at the same time. So it's coming together slowly for Falcons, but that keyword's still in there, Tim. Slowly.
Exactly the same again. You know, I said they either need to be quicker at problem solving or more flexible. We're seeing a little bit of both. You know, we're seeing that flexibility there as we see the relocation of the shield. They haven't really dealt with Dan yet, and that's going to prove to be a big problem for them. He's been allowed to sit there. Skies manages to get one. Dan finishes off his man. It's 4v2 in the blink of an eye, and it's all up to Bride and Leak. In fact, they are separated considerably now. Bride has actually managed to rotate around. He's going to try and mix things up, and I think try to get into more of a position, not to play alongside Leak of Fact, but to play with him. He needs a little bit of support, whether that's from below, whether that's, you know, from being stood shoulder to shoulder, but they've got to try and just get themselves able to impact on the same people. Bride getting aggressive here, but he's going to be held at bay for the time being, but manages to drop that shield, find the kill. That's going to be Nako taken out. I think he'd already lost his shield, so don't be too critical of him there. He just had to try and make a move.
Yeah, time's always with the Roy though, this place, right? Same as last round, they're just running out of it, and outside of a mad flurry of kills now, which they aren't going to find. It was guaranteed to be a Virtus.pro round win. That's another one going their way, and Falcon. I think that's a face, Nako. Fair play. Don't worry, you just won the round, man, but you look like you just lost. Don't worry, it's all good. The game's still playing.
He's
so
just
far as I said.
He's just getting put under so much stress on the shields. I think he's like, oh.
But it is the third out of fourth round now that Virtus.pro have won away quite comfortably. Off the back of attack timeout, I do want to stress on this one as well. Falcons really aren't showing the attacking nous that we've seen from them on this map previously. Yeah, what gets me is I remember them being a really good lair team for a while as well. I know Virtus.pro were good. Their record was like 6-2 or something. If I go and take a quick look at Falcons, 4-4 they currently sit on. They got battered there, 7-0 by FaZe back at SI. They've lost to Virtus.pro on this map, actually. In fact, a very funny one I didn't realize coming into the game. The last 3 times that Falcons have played this very map, guess who was against him in every single one?
Against Virtus.pro.
In every single one. And Virtus.pro have won 2 of those 3 meetings, 7-5, 7-3. The one that Falcons did win was the 7-4 eventually. So they've got a good decorating history on there, but as I said, Falcons have got a more troubled history on the map, only really beating out a couple of teams that are weaker than them. GK with a 7-0, Twisted Minds a 7-2, who have been up and down anyway, and Elevate. So it's feeling here like Virtus.pro are starting to cook a little bit, Tim.
I think they've looked great, to be honest, so far. I think they've understood the, you know, the requirements to get these rounds won. I think they've
win conditions.
Yeah, they've understood those win conditions fantastically well. You know, they have just burnt out so much time, and they've frustrated Falcons and not really given them, you know, any kind of wiggle room to get this done. And I'm absolutely loving what I am seeing from them at the minute. It has been really, really good stuff. So let's see if it continues. They are going to be on that middle side. Now, I've spoken about this before. We do see, I think, quite a bit of success on this side. for the defenders, because it all comes down to that top floor clearance. And again, it's asking the same questions of Falcons. Are they going to be able to hold on? You know, are they going to be able to get these problems solved? Leak of Fact does solve a big one there by taking out the Azami as that entry kill.
Of course, that gadget slowly recharges over time for the Azamis. That's less Kivas to have to chew your way through. Driving to think, oh, well, we got DMRs, you can deal with that, no problem, right? Yeah, sure, but it's the fact that it also gives away your location at the time you're firing to try and destroy it. Every shot is information, every noise you make is information that the other team gets and can react to. So it can still be a bit of a nuisance. By the looks of it, Tim, are they already thinking about an execute here without top floor? I want to say it's a bait to begin with, if nothing else as well. The wall will go up and it could just be a bit of a ruse. I imagine they want a bit more pressure to come down. I say that, actually, no, they are going for it. All the utilities starting to come out.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to push on in, so keep an eye on Breed here. They're going to struggle with the Solus above. No Thatcher to deal with that. Solus just watching very specifically. It's a little bit swamped on the scanner at the minute, obviously picking up all of those individual receptors for that light screen wall. We're going to see some of them getting taken out, and this is the danger with putting that Sense utility in there early. There hasn't been an option yet for them to start putting the diffuser down. I have just looked at the numbers, and since the 1st of February, worldwide, 51% defender win rate on this mid-floor. It is pretty successful. Not terrible. You know, and there is a real chance that Virtus.pro can hold on to this. I think they've just repelled that initial attempt extremely well. 30 seconds left to go.
You need someone to really be coming on the backstab here, and sure enough, they have got one player looking to do just that. But you can't leave a Solus completely unbothered upstairs without something like a Thatcher on side. Now trying to go in for a plant, and they'll see it as well. The pingers come on through, and that should be all too easy. And sure enough, down goes at least one. Now you've got the Dokkaebi of Doom stepping across, trying to go for his own as well, but forced away. Massive risk here trying to make this work. Again, they're going to see the plant going on down. This is all too easy, Tim. They needed that pressure upstairs. There is no one here to give it. This one is looking pretty cut. Will they get the angle? And it should be able to find it. Sees the one below. The reverse shot, though. Dan has gone down. The air jack keeps them at bay. Tim, they might have got away with this, but no! Rorik with a wonderful shot. It's a 1v2 for users, Tim.
Only one kill so far on there. He's going to have to put that up to 3. Needs to find himself a double here to hold on. One above. That's a brilliant start. Takes down Pacha. It's just him versus Rorik. He knows exactly where he is. He knows where the fight's coming. Users finds his man. You'd back him in a 1v2 and he picks the round up. It was tough for Falcons, and it was nearly an extremely good defense coming out of Virtus.pro. The use of the Solus was beautiful. How many times did they drop that diffuser onto the ground? It is so rare that we see a team on the attack manage to get a win on that side if they don't get top floor control. Falcons just did it brilliantly.
Yeah, fair play. But I'll also come back to being a little bit cynical / critical in that relying on winning a reverse angle gunfight up through the floorboards isn't really in the strat book. You don't go in there and, right, look, we're going to start planting, and when they swing to try and kill the guy, we're just going to shoot him through the floorboards upstairs. Is that okay? Everyone will be like, are you mad? Like, you're asking for a bit of a miracle there. Now, look, they managed to make it work in the situation. Fair play to the massive clutch coming out of it. But they tried to have one player trying to get rid of this Solus on the upstairs. He was dealt with handily, never really an issue to them. After that, they could all just afford to keep on looking downwards and have their focus on there. If not for a big users clutch, this is 4-1 to Virtus.pro right now, and they're looking like they're already light years ahead. As it stands, Falcons could yet recover this to a 3-3, and if they do, Virtus.pro are going to feel robbed.
It's another one of those maps where Falcons look like they're kind of just clinging on. They look like they're behind. And then out of nowhere, oh, they level. And what? You know, then they're back fighting for it. And they've shown great resilience today. I've got to say that for Falcons. They've had some tough passages of play where Virtus.pro have really been on top of them. But, you know, like I said, coming into that 1v2, Users is got 1 kill so far inside 5 rounds. Inside, up to that point, nearly 5 full rounds, 4.5 rounds. He's got 1 kill, but then he hits the 1v2. And it's just showing how well Falcons can dig deep. They've come in here with an entry as well, taken Rorik down, doubled up onto Skies, and they're going to come away with a 3-3 half if they continue like this. This is brilliant from them.
Again, Virtus.pro feel robbed, but you cannot fault the work coming out from Falcons to make it happen. Challenge coming in straight towards Warehouse here. They're hoping to get rid of the shield, but it's a big ask. At least Virtus.pro aren't wilting away and just giving up the ground freely. They are still fighting for every inch they possibly can. Down the one being especially aggressive here. He's had a great day so far, especially playing on this Azami, but he's really going to have to double down here to make something come out of it for his team. If they can win this 3 versus 5, Tim, Falcons will be absolutely shattered.
looked like the Rengoku event with an explosive Kiba then, didn't it? It was just timing of everything that happened at the same time. But we're going to have the Blackbeard looking to push and take a little bit of ground. But Brede has been held here for quite a while now. Dan manages to pick up Solitov. That's his support. And they are still battling over these filtration stairs, still unable to pick it up. They do manage to get the kill they need, though, this time. Pressure on the window does the job. Doom finds the gap. Aquo taken down. That's a loss of Yokai drones as well. So that plant is looking a little bit more possible. Pasha makes it back to site. No, he stays aggressive. Thought he was just going to get himself back. He should have done. He should have gone back. Doom takes his life. Dan, 1v4 becomes a 1v3. Taking down Leakafak. He's got a minute to hold on. He's got a plant going down and a call coming in. It ain't looking pretty.
It ain't. He's got to win against 3. He's got to win against a shield and in a post plant. This one is feeling pretty cooked in, but it's now 2 multi-kills in the same round again, by the way. Dan and June both with a third. Look at... Brede? Hello? Hello? No? No! No, he's above. Like, okay, that's it. He can't lose it, Tim. He cannot lose it. He cannot lose it. It just can't be a done thing. It can't be a done thing! It cannot be a done thing! No! Tries to go for the nade rather than the gunfire as well, but now surely he's got all the angles that he needs. He's got to work something so special. Tries to go for a different angle. June will find him. 2 4Ks in the same round, but it's Falcons that come out on top.
It was a little bit close for a second there, wasn't it? Brede getting caught out and getting dealt with inside a site, but Brede was just trying to buy time for Doom, essentially. They knew that the win condition there was sledge above, open up the angles, and so that was the entire focus. Rather than try and back away from the fight, it was just keep him engaged. I think it maybe still could have been done a little bit better. Brede, you know, did let him spin round the back of him a little bit too easily. But yeah, ultimately they knew the focus.
It is 3-3 though. Let's go to the desk and see what they think.
Thank you so much. I quite enjoyed listening to Des's tiny crash out there because I feel like I relate to him. I mean, this is what we're seeing from Falcons, right? You know, they get to take the space and then somehow Virtus.pro will claim it back in these defense rounds.
Yeah, it's been a consistent, I guess, a consistent issue on the side of Falcons, right? We look at the first round and it's a 3v4 that's going to turn into a 2v4 because everything goes well on the side of Falcons. They're limited by time, but as you can see, Leakafak is there. He's, you know, making sure he's confirming the kill on the Azami. This is a 4v2. They can go for the execute. And look at the lineup. Look at the denial. C4, Warden, fire canisters, 1 kill with the Tachanka, 2 kills with the C4, and that's it. Somehow, VP, they bring it back. And it's been a consistent issue. You look at round 3, it's a similar setup. Yes, they're down 1 man, but Falcons can go and execute. They've got the KD. Problem is, VP, they have 1 roamer, and on top of that, they still have the Tachanka, they still have the smoke. This time they have Goyo. If you look at the lineup defense on VP, Jack, it's always Azami every round to make the side stronger. Then they have smoke, Goyo, Tachanka, everything to play the late round. And so the biggest thing that Falcons needed to do here, Jack, was take the control as quickly as they can, make sure that they can start working on the execute way earlier, because if they start working on the execute in these rounds, like round 4, for example, a little bit too late, well, the strong positions are still there, and they're going to lose everyone, and instead they even have the clash.
And that's the big thing. They ended up down 1-3, and they maybe get to rounds 5 and 6, and you can say, yeah, maybe they were a little bit earlier, but they were still playing up against the same win condition. They still really struggled with it, and actually we saw, users 1 versus 2 post plan, and we saw right at the end of there, Doom gets a 4K and gets the 1v1 post plan, but it was always coming down to that late round scenario. Can they deal with the Echo? Can they deal with the smoke, the Goyo, the Azami? There was so much utility. They did manage to find a way through, and I will say their performance maybe doesn't warrant a 3-3 split from the side of Falcons, but in the end they got the rounds done in that late to get them onto the level field at the halftime.
And now speaking about the bans that we're seeing here, I mean, the Breach Denial as well getting rid of, and then Grim as well. Does that make sense? Yeah,
I was speaking about what Falcons needed to change in their defense, and what I wanted to see was counterbans. 2 counterbans that we see here. Grim, that's the position that Pasha always plays on display window and bathroom windows. It's so annoying for these players that are trying to play top main, so that's gone. And then Ace, which was the crutch for the side of Skies, all the side, always going upside, always breaching the 2 main walls. So that's directly 2 counterbans.
Think about the ops wall into site. Now, Skies actually has a choice to make. He either plays the Thermite and he has to physically walk up to that wall to breach it, or he has to play the Habana and create a much smaller breach. Now, what did we see all the way back in map 1? Those smaller breaches, the C4s, the absolute barrage utility that can come in. So I do like that ace ban. Again, Falcons, once again, they're choosing not to respect Necro on the shields. They're looking for the supporting caster around Necro. It will give Necro exactly his choice of shields. Does he want to play the Monty, the Blitz, or the Blackbeard? Every single one of them is available.
Well, it seems like a good sign because you two said that Falcons struggled on the defense when they played against Virtus.pro initially on Lair. Falcons, you gotta show us something. Your ticket to the grand final is on the line.
Thank you very much, Anne, and the boys over on the desk. Indeed, that ticket, it's there. Anne's holding the golden ticket. She's waving it around madly in the studio like, who wants it? Both teams are like, me. But no one's yet been prepared to stand up and snatch it out of the hands, Tim. They've got to do that over the next 6 rounds. I've no idea what that analogy was about, but we'll carry on with it anyway. They've got 6 rounds to decide, Tim, maybe 3 more if required when we get to OT. It would feel quite fitting given the quality we've seen in the series so far. A 7-5 and a 7-4. It's the one thing I do want to stress, by the way. I know there's been a few rounds that have been a little bit messy, like Brede in that closing 1v2 in the last round. A couple of moments in past maps that have been a bit questionable at times, but the quality of Siege from both teams has been phenomenal. There's a reason they are our 2 best teams right now.
Yeah, it's been pure entertainment. Absolutely loving watching this. You know, as a reminder as well, don't forget this is mostly about SI points. There's a little bit of money and things like that, but mostly the focus is on those SI points. If you get into the top 2, so the winner of this match will guarantee themselves a minimum 300 points and the opportunity to get 420 overall. So yeah, it's a big difference from the like 200 or 250 that they could get in 3rd or 4th place. So definitely a lot on the line. Solotov manages to pick up 1 kill. Dan taken down. Skies goes with him. Rorik manages to pick up Leak effect though. Lower versus 3, but Falcons coming out of that flurry of kills, the better.
Throwing flashbang.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. This has been, I mean, look, the games have been very slow, controlled Siege, mainly because of the way the defenders have played the game so far, but this has been one of the most frantic. It's another one, by the way, where when we see Solotov move on to defense, he just suddenly explodes. He was 1-6 coming into this. He's 4-6 because he's got a 3k in the round. He's looking for 1 more. Pasha's got to get it all done. We'll take him down. We'll not give him that 1 more. If anyone's going to win a 1 versus 4, Tim, my money's on Pasha.
Oh, you know he's got it in his locker, but the problem is Falcons know exactly where he is at the minute. He's got to try and mix this up. He's got to do something that's maybe a little bit unpredictable, but it's going to be difficult to do so. He knows that there's one inside a bathroom. They just played it perfectly there, did Falcons. Both swing at the same time, just play off a contact, and Pasha has absolutely no chance there. Well played. Virtus.pro came at that round like it was, we're just going to sprint at this wall and see if we burst through it, and they didn't. It was predictable what happens when you sprint at a wall.
Yeah, it hurts, Tim.
It does, and Virtus.pro have just found that out.
Well, for a first round, it was very resolute from the side of Falcons. They looked very convincing. I did say coming in, you know, as much as their previous results might suggest this could be a bit of a challenge, they are a good defending team. They are a good attacking team on this map normally. They definitely had more struggles in that first half than maybe they would have liked. So granted, it was a 3-3, maybe not quite as many as you'd expect. It's more the fashion in which that 3-3 came around that was mainly the concern. But I don't think this will be a run in the park for Virtus.pro either, nor for Falcons. This will probably be one that, like I say, if it's going anywhere, OT feels like the right direction for it to go.
Down to the basement we go then. See if Falcons can cause the same sort of problems for Virtus.pro that they caused then, particularly looking around those filtration stairs, or maybe Virtus.pro don't even play into that area. Something that Falcons were resolute in trying, but not too successful overall in accomplishing until that last round. Mira is going to be brought along to try and help with Warehouse, if that should be the chosen point of ingress for Virtus.pro on the attack. Looking at Pasha particularly on the Deimos again, if he can get in above, there's plenty of verticality possible here, so he could really have an impact. There's Doom and Leaker back up on the top floor, Solotov on the mid floor, so there's a big whole map presence coming in here from Falcons on the defense. It's not going to start out brilliantly though. The Skies manages to pick up 1.
So one thing I will say is that last round was a very frantic push from Virtus.pro. They were trying to... Frantic makes it sound like it was all over the shop. It wasn't. It was just quick. And they were trying to almost catch Falcons off guard and set the tone and the pace for how the half was going to play out, and got shut down by it. This one has been a little bit slower, much more composed and controlled overall, and they've got their just desserts so far. They've got that entry on towards Solitaire, who, as I said, normally has very good defensive halves, but struggles more so on the attacking side. So I think starting things out the way they have is much better. They can always afford to change tempo mid-round if they want to, but so far, so good. There is still a lot of map to work through, though.
A little pocket mute jammer's going to be thrown down by Leak Effect there just to try and prevent him from being droned out, maybe keep himself under wraps. He's taking up time here. It's taking a lot of effort to go through the map, make sure it's clear, make sure they've got those roamers gone. We're a minute 40 into the round so far, and Virtus.pro have done nothing towards site. They have picked up an entry kill, so it's not all negative for them. They've got some good work done, but they are still going to be challenged here. They're still not going to be able to play towards site yet. If Falcons can get themselves back to site when the time is right without losing anybody else, this has been a wildly successful role.
It has, yeah. Again, wasting time is good, but losing the player maybe less so ideal. The guy at the end of the world. This is okay. Losing the one player, getting back towards site. Okay, fine. My worry now, my question is, okay, now what have you got to sit behind in these last 60 seconds? They've got 2 C4s, they've got Elemines. Okay, it's not a Chanka, it's not a smoke. The C4 also not quite finding the man. That's not super ideal. If he gets a kill there, completely different conversation. That's one of your main stall tools now gone. This is where I start to feel a bit nervous. I know there's only 35 seconds to go. He's lucky to be alive there. That's twice now he's got away with murder. But now might finally start meeting his match. He's getting pinched from behind as well. Lives again. Has this man got 9 lives or what? Use is going to fall. Plaque now going down as Nako steps inside. Nades forcing these players to move away. Will he be able to stop the man? Sees him and gets up nice and close, but the trade is there. And Virtus.pro, sure enough, Tim, they get over the line. Like I say, I wouldn't have minded it being a 5 versus 4 with 2 minutes being wasted if they had something to sit behind, but no smokes, no nothing. That cost them.
Yeah, maybe just lost that one at the operator pick phase. But look, I rate the attempt. I like what Falcons tried there. You know, getting out in the map, mixing it up, taking the fight to Virtus.pro, aggressive defensive round. I like to see that, and it was entertaining. Virtus.pro, they deserve applause as well there because they've done a great job. It was not an easy round for them. They had a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to do it, but when it mattered, when it came down to crunch time, they were able to get in there, get those couple of kills that allowed them to start putting the diffuser on the ground, and that caused a reaction from Falcons where they were able to then pick up those last couple of kills as players moved around. So really nice stuff. We continue to stay neck and neck here. It is 4-4 Falcons Virtus.pro, and we are getting a classic third map from these two.
We are, yeah. I hope it just keeps on going neck and neck,
Give
round
me
by
overtime.
round, all the way through to it. Yeah, just please give us OT. I want to see it go all the distance because it does deserve it. And you said this earlier on at the head of the series, and I do agree with you. I think there's a very good chance this is the same matchup that we get in the final again tomorrow. I would love to. It sounds silly to say you want to see the same matchup again because normally it's a little bit like, I'd like to see something different. Would I hate seeing a Fnatic or a GK beat the loser of this game, for example, tomorrow morning in the first game tomorrow and make it into the grand final against the winner? No, I'd love that. I love an underdog. But the quality of this series, as I've already said, has been so good that I do want to see both teams play even more. I want to see another series like this.
Going to be getting into ops. They are attacking the mid site, so it's going to be top floor control required, as we saw previously. It is the age-old question again for this site. Attack versus defense. Can you hold on? We saw how close it was. Falcons almost losing it. They did get it done eventually, but Virtus.pro did a very good job defensively up above with the Solis. That's not going to be the case this time. Falcons have not brought that operator along, so they're going to have a different plan with how they prevent the plant from going down. A lot of utility being thrown into site early, just like we saw from Falcons when they were on the attack.
Sure, at least this time around no one's gone down too early on. Which again, I'll point towards the same point of it's all good wasting a bit of time, but what have we then got to play behind it if we're Falcons in this case? At least this time round, we still got those 2 C4s, but we also have the smoke available from Brede. You're seeing here a lot being seen out by these drones that are scattered inside a site. They can see where the Azami is dancing around. The Solitov is taking challenges coming in from seemingly everyone. And now it's Nako that gets to bite his head off there. It looked like it was Skies for a second, but no, Nako just got in ahead of him and got the kill first. Now we're into this classic spot, Tim, where we don't have top floor control, and we're going to try and make this work. I'm a little bit nervous that without the Thatcher on side, this could be a problem. But Skies starts to explode his way upstairs there, causing a little bit of bother. This is the kind of pressure I was speaking about.
And it's a really big kill there. You mentioned the Thatcher being offline, so those nitros become a big risk when the plant is going down. They've just taken one off the board with June going. Useless is taking damage as well. That could be the other nitro dealt with. So then you look, there it is. So you look now and you think that loss of Thatcher is not the end of the world anymore. Leakifac's in a tough spot. He's going to be taken out. Dan finds Breeder, and that is a great attack from Virtus.pro. This one just continues to be back and forth. Absolutely impossible to predict a winner right now. Virtus.pro, they've got the narrowest of leads. It's 5-4.
But Tim, we keep on going back and forth. We keep on going 1 for 1. The only thing that I'll point towards is the fact they've now won 2 in a row on 2 separate sites. Falcons have found Joy up on the top floor, which I can only assume is where we will go after these bans. Unless these 2 bans that come in now have a big change in how the game plays out, I can still see Virtus.pro getting away with it. Across those last 2 rounds, they only lost 3 players out of the 10 they could have lost. They have been dominant, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous. Falcons somewhat relied on heroics from Solotov in round 1 to hold the line and stop that rush attempt coming in from Virtus.pro. They look far more commanding in this half to me, and that's why I'm a little bit nervous that we might not even see OT at this rate.
And you can't keep peeking the same angle there. We see it on the replays. It was the end of the round, so maybe not too much of a choice left. You've got to take the fights where they come, but ultimately, Falcons now find themselves around behind and back up to the top floor we go. They did win this back in round 7. They do still have the Tachanka available because it's the mirror that June has been playing that was banned away, or June played it last round, Breeder played it the round before. So they have decided to leave the Tachanka on the board. Breeder has shown great capability with that operator on this site, particularly in the past. And he's going to be looking to deny that default plant spot. If you've got the Tachanka, it is all based around that area of mask wall where Leakifak is reinforcing at the minute, and it's the opposite side where it's coming in from the mezzanine corridor, but that's going to be #1 priority. Just having a look, they don't have the Azami on board, so we'll see who plays in behind desk. It could well be Breeder playing in that position. He's got a shield in pocket still. I'd like to see that hopefully deployed. I think he's doing that now, so that's going to just give him, yep, there we go. So that's just going to give him that little bit of protection. Not sure where it'll be. It could be deeper back on the wall near the door between sites, or it could be on the desk, but it's going to be a key position either way.
Dropping mag.
Right. I think I joked about this a couple of weeks ago on one of the broadcasts when Virtus.pro and the whole incident came out around Sony and their diss and all that kind of stuff, and various other things on social media in the last few weeks. They tweeted and basically said, right, that's it now. We're going to run our whole team to social media's opinions. Most like comment is what we'll do with our strategy for that week. And I was saying, Dan, Carly only, Naquo, Shields only, Pasha must scream after each round. Skies, breach everything. Rorik, don't play ranked on game days, as he said in an interview a few weeks ago. When he plays ranked on game days, he doesn't play as well as officials. Go figure. But Dan, it just feels it's one of those very, very rare enigmas that is just dying to play Carly more often than not. And do I want to say he makes it work? I think he offers unique threat. Would I say like pops off and therefore draws bans on it? No. You have to respect it, of course, and it does bring a lot with the fact it has smokes in back pocket, and of course that secondary gadget can destroy away a lot of gadgets too. But I don't know, he just really wants to force it. It makes me laugh.
Pasha picks up Solotov, and that is a really big start. That's the Warden gone with Candelas on the board. That Ying just got way more deadly. You've got the smokes from the Capitao as well. They could be in big trouble. They've actually got 4 smokes in pocket, 6, sorry, across the operators. So losing the Warden could be massive. June manages to pick up Skies. That's going to be the Thermite gone. Any breaching that hasn't happened won't likely happen. Naquo does have a couple of the hard breach charges in pocket. It's going to be difficult to rotate that Monty at any speed to get him somewhere else for a breach.
Falcons again doing a really good job of running time down, but I'll come back to the same point. Utility, what's left? Really all they've got here is the Tachanka, and maybe 1 or 2 Vulcan canisters are still standing. So actually, they've got a lot of stall to play with. However, with that fire, especially at the Tachanka, you can just ignore it and bypass it if so desired. And Virtus.pro have got tons of their own. 4 smokes to work with, 2 fire canisters. Sorry, not fire canisters, 2 Candelas left, and a shield. They've got the tools to get the job done in the final 30 seconds, but I just wonder if this smoke is going to see them stalled out.
Yeah, they've got to start moving soon. Impact Nade comes out, just does a little bit of damage to Dan. Needs to be careful on the Carly. They've got themselves little bit of possession that they need. As soon as that fire dies down, Nako can start to move in. They've got to dislodge the Tachanka. That's going to be the main focus now. Likafak has gone underneath. This could prove deadly. They've managed to dodge in for the time being, but the shotgun will give him the option to open up the lines of sight. Nako's picking this. He's not taking damage. He's going to plant it. That's going to be 4 versus 3. 3 versus 3. This is a bloodbath as we find ourselves leveling out. Brede manages to pick up passion with the secondary. 5 versus 4. Virtus.pro looking to get themselves on to match point. Rorik has gone underneath to try and hold this, Des.
Yes, and here comes the bullying.
Oh, gosh.
That is pretty brutal. Fair play, they've got away with it, and now they've got to worry about Rorik. This is his time. Has he played ranked today? Yes or no? I'm sure we're going to find out. They know that he's downstairs. A defuse coming in on one side, but does he know where the man is? No, he doesn't, Tim. He's got to find him through the floor. Brede sticking in. Falcons are going to take us to 5 apiece.
So unfortunate for Rorik underneath there. He's just chasing the wrong man around. He keeps seeing somebody and just keeps blasting the floor, but never once goes near Brede. And Brede just has nerves of steel there. Sticks it for 7 seconds and knows that the win is in the palm of his hands. 5-5. We get 12 at least. Overtime's back on the cards, Des. It's back on.
Woo! All right. I really thought Virtus.pro were cooked. I really thought they got the business done, especially once Rorik was underneath, but smart play, to be completely fair to them, and that defuse. All it would have taken would have been a couple of shotgun blasts on the right side of that diffuser, and that round would have been over. I've said it, there's been so many clutches, so many multi-kills. In fact, we look across this map so far, we've had 5, Tim. That takes us to 20 multi-kills in this entire series so far. That has been ludicrous. Like, I often keep tabs on these things to see how many we have. That is one of the highest that we've seen.
Yeah, it's just madness, isn't it? It just shows how many. It's no surprise, though, at the same time. It's madness, but it's no surprise. You've got 2 teams of absolute superstars here. That's the point that it's getting to. So is it any surprise that a game with those is like just filled with those moments? That's why we were so excited for this matchup. And that's why we say, if this is how it shakes down, that this is the grand final, that whoever loses then comes through the lower bracket and we see a rematch, you can't hate it, can you? You know, like you say, yeah, we do like to see things mixed up, but with all these players in the server and how exciting it is and the huge moments that they deliver, just give me more of it.
All right, well, let's see just how much more of it we can get. Is it 2 more rounds, Tim, or is it potentially up to 5? OT feels oh so close, and it feels like we'll be truly robbed if we don't find ourselves going there. Not forgetting as well, for those of you, of course, still watching and locking in for the whole show and collecting those packs, we still have a whole new series to go after this one. Fnatic versus GK. Big game. The winner of that plays against the loser of this in the first game tomorrow before the winner of that eventual game goes on to play against the winner of this game to be crowned the best team in EML, the winners of Stage 1. And, of course, those juicy, juicy points to walk away with. SI points that we're referring to. I believe it's 420, was it, for the winner overall?
It was.
And 300 for those in second place. So it is quite a good that we've got to worry about. In fact, 430, I think it was.
No, 420 for the winner, 300.
Blaze it, love it.
250, 200. So Doom will take out Rorik. Big start for Falcons there. Again, they haven't committed quite as heavily. Last time they defended basement, they were up on second floor, they were on first floor, they were absolutely everywhere. This time they've limited themselves to that mid floor. It's Likafak and it's Doom who were playing around there. Doom's now dropped himself back down to filtration stairs. That's absolutely fine. He's going to get himself back to site. Likafak has done as well. A minute 50 wasted. A kill. IQ taken down. Have they got the utility on site to play behind? I would argue that they do this time, Des. Skies manages to take down Doom, but you've got the Kiba barricades, you've got the Yokai drones, you've got the Goyo canisters, you've got the smoke. They should have everything they need to hold on.
They should. The should doesn't mean do. And that's where I worry. A run over from the side of Virtus.pro can be enough here. They've got the verticals, they've got smoke, they've got fire, they've got shield, they've got flashes, they've got everything they need to get the job done, but may find themselves starting to run out to the clock if they're not too careful. That is the last smoke that has come out from Likafak at this point. We still have Brede, and I'll say it again. We all think about the high fantasy of these operators, Tim. Brede is still alive. You can see that he's got those Yokais in either side right now. He's waiting for the plant to start going down. He could be what spoils the fun.
That's a really nice shot from Nako. He has to react quickly to the Razor Bloom there. Maybe just getting a little bit too aggressive. Shotgun on the corner will down Pasha. Nako's going for the plant. 3 versus 2. Can Breed focus? Does he know? Yes, he does. They relocate. Can he find him through the smoke now? 2 versus 2. Yes, he can. And that is going to be the round win. Breed picks it up, and it is an Echo once again, winning out a round.
I do think you could look at the vast majority of rounds from this series, and people may ask, like, okay, how do you defend in this current meta where it feels like attackers have all the tools? They've got shields, they've got a Grim, they can just overwhelm you. It's so hard to play against. If you go back and watch the majority of these rounds and how teams have played the map so brilliantly well, wasting time out on the roam, playing behind utility, even when we've had the bans come in to take away electrification, for example, it just shows anyone can do it, even if you're up against really solid attacking teams, which both of these teams are. On defense, I feel both have put on a really good show. Not to say attacking has been bad, not at all. Like, both teams have attacked brilliantly too, but they've just played behind their utility. They've played around the clock. It's looked absolutely phenomenal. Virtus.pro now are 1 round away from losing out. It will be 7-5 to Falcons. They move through into the final, and Virtus.pro have to play against the winner of Fnatic versus GK in that first game tomorrow. That's why they're having the attack timeout now, Tim. They get this done. We've got OT. Otherwise, I won't quite say it's heartbreak. They go into EWC. They can still finish top. It's still a second chance in the lower bracket, but they've come so close. They don't want to slip here at this final hurdle.
What a time to be taking that tactical timeout, saving it for the end of round 11. And they've got to get this one done, or as you quite rightly say, is going to be down to the lower bracket they go. Falcons looked really good in that last round, and like you say, they knew what the win condition was as long as they kept Breed alive, as long as they had the Yorkais online. But I want to give a shout to Breed in that situation. He could not see the blitz at all there. I don't know if there was any other intel coming into him, but he's having to play through smoke, he's having to play off sound, and he aims kind of generally. It's not directly at the blitz, but I think he just aims into a really smart spot. He hears some movement. Obviously, the shields are pretty loud, pretty clunky when they do move. He hears a bit of movement, and he just puts it into a good spot to stun. And it's just brilliant stuff. Really like that.
I'm reloading.
Well, Tim, the glass is available. It hasn't been taken away. And so naturally, Nako is thinking, I'm free. I don't have to jump on the shields this time around. We can try something a little bit different and get back on that glass that you let me play for 1 round back on map 1 and I haven't been able to touch since. I really hope that this works out for them. They've got a lot of tools to do it with. They've got, what, 6 smokes to play behind if you include the smoke bolts. So it's 100% a big part of their win condition. That Thatcher makes a return once again, which will no doubt be lying in towards those C4s. 3 of them on side, but you've also got to worry about a Solus. You've got to worry about a Warden. There's so much you've got to worry about, and I'm really thinking here, if you're Virtus.pro, dare I say, you've got to be focusing on the upstairs. Like, you can't let them have all this control upstairs, not with all this utility to face off against.
Who needs to worry about losing his life there? Nearly overpeaked on the corner. Did take a bit of damage along the way. External breach is now opened into sight. But as you can see, as always, 3 above from Falcons here. It's actually a light compliment. It had usually be 4 up there, but they've gone with 3. Breeder on the Solus. How about that? Guys opening up a barricade, and he picks up the Warden with a headshot. Who knows if it was purposeful and there was intel, or whether sometimes you just get lucky at shooting through those barricades.
Look, this is...
There's no intel, he's just playing the barricade.
Man, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you shoot barricades out, by the way, rather than hitting them with a melee.
Yeah.
It is.
Otherwise, you could be the one getting shot back in return while you stuck there in your melee animation, absolutely.
Yep, that's why you shoot them out, because you never know what's on the other side.
I'll never forget, we've spoken about it before on Border when Shaiko 2-tapped the barricade and just happened to get a headshot with his second tap, and even he took his hand to his keyboard, hand to his mouth, was like, oh my god, how have I just hit that shot? It was unbelievable. But we've seen it happen enough times that it's always worth going for. Either way, it's the Warden that's offline that, like I said, I thought would be a real big part of this round. Arguably now, if they can make use of the Thatcher and disable away Breede on the Solus, they can go for a plant without needing that top floor control. So we'll see how the play goes. Of course, we've got the users on side with those Zoto canisters to slow things down as well, but the plant is happening, Tim. Do we see the Thatcher coming out? No, because he's the one planting. Not quite sure what he's going for, and sure enough, he gets killed. Why is he the one planting? Surely Dan's the one you look at this and say he should be the man, but now they've got a real war on their side, Tim, because the Solus remains alive. It's a 4 versus 2. He can see it going down. Will he get this angle again? Tries to go on towards one, and Nako hits the deck. Surely not like this. Finally, we'll stick it. We'll get down as well. Dan left in a 1 versus 2 to save it for Virtus.pro.
Just peeking around the corner, sees the first, gets him 1v1. This just became very winnable to keep Virtus.pro alive for another round. Breeder's there, he gets taken out. Dan wins it, and we're going to overtime, Des.
They don't want to make it easy for themselves, do they, Tim? They want to pad up them clutch stats. Honestly, if they'd had the Thatcher EMP ready to deal with the Solus, that could have been so much easier. But instead, it's the Thatcher that is planting, and of course, in the beautiful irony that it is, he's the one who dies to the Solus, but they make up for it. They get a big 1v2 off Dan, and they send us into OT, as you say, Tim. 3 more rounds to decide it. And I imagine because Virtus.pro got to pick starting side, Falcons will get to choose which side they start on in OT. We'll find out which side that is in a second, but look, it's 2 versus 4. It becomes a 2 versus 2. This shouldn't be happening. It becomes a 1 versus 2. That absolutely should not be happening. And then a 1v2 gets won. It shouldn't be happening, but it's great that it did.
I think Virtus.pro might need to go back to Thatcher school after what we've seen today, Des. There's been a couple of wobbly ones. There's been a couple of wobbly ones on Consular and on Lair. But hey-ho, they get themselves the round, they get themselves into overtime. It is 6-6, and we've got at least 2 more rounds of this. Falcons are on the attack. Inherently, you would say there is no advantage here. It's been 3-3 halves both ways. However, you do have the slight advantage of being able to play those stronger defensive sides if you are on the defense. So Virtus.pro have gone for top floor. They won it both times. Whereas, you know, they're going to get another opportunity as well to then pick another strong side, which for them I think will be down in the basement. So the narrowest of marginal advantages, I would say, to Virtus.pro. But look, this is absolutely anybody's at the minute.
A lot changes once you're getting towards OT. Mistakes become more prominent. Players are stressed. I know it sounds weird to say they've been playing for 3 hours and therefore they're probably knackered. You might say, oh, I'll sit there and play ranked 8 hours a day on the weekend. What are you worried about? It's the pressure that comes with it as well. Again, knowing what's on the line, that every single move that you make in game can lead to your death, for example, can lead to your team losing a round. It's very intense. You know, you have to communicate with each other very, very actively throughout the whole thing as well. Your brain is just so switched on the whole time that you are exhausted come this point. But that's true of the other side as well. So it's all things equal, Tim. As you said, I don't know which way it can go here. Anything can happen, but I'm excited to find out.
Droning through ops is going to tell them that there is nobody there, so they can go in and start the breaching process, which is exactly what they will do. Solotov with the Selma takes that out. There's also another Selma gone, which I'd imagine is onto that external masks wall. So that will be the ops wall. So 2 out of 3 of the breaches that they need. 1 more required onto the mezzanine wall. Nitro in hand. Rorik has had a big impact on this match when it comes to Nitros. If we remember that Nitro multi-kill that he got previously. But not going to have the opportunity just yet.
Sure, all right. Let's see who's the first to fall then. Nako being on the shield, 100% going to be a little bit of a nuisance for them, but it's Fasha. Shows the tiniest little bit towards Solotov, who, as I've said, has been quiet throughout this match, really. But all that matters in these final 3 rounds are the kills that you get in these ones. What's the impact that you manage to pull off? Likufak is underneath, looking to put pressure up through the floor, mainly on towards Nako. He's the one that's eating that track right now, so he'll have to be forced away onto safer ground so he doesn't get shot up through the floor. Sky's also dangerously low, even with all 3 smokes left in back pocket. Falcons so far looking good, Tim, but I can never help but look at those numbers at the top of our screen. Down to the last 45. They've got good control. But there's still stall that can come out. There's a C4 available. There's a clash. There's still smoke canisters. And that makes me nervous for Falcons.
Yeah, they need to get moving here. They need to find a way to brute force a path through. Dan manages to pick up Solotov. That is not ideal for them. 4 versus 4. Skies continues to burn time. A little bit aggressive from Rorik there. Users was just waiting with his arms wide open, and he takes his man down. 4 versus 3. Nade goes in.
I love this.
So does the operator. Nade goes down, by the way, so it's now effectively 1 versus 4. Plant going down, and Dan, he's got to do something. He's got to make a move for his team to keep them in it. He's going to be tracked out as well, asking an awful lot right now. They know his position. There's a shield in his face. 35 seconds. 1v2. 1v3, sorry. Surely not.
It is fallen foul of these shield up. Oh, calm the friggin' hell down. What the hell was that? Dan looking for one more. Off towards his right, does he know? Yes, he does. But the man is just about escaped him. The shield drops, he gets the kill. But my God, what was that shot, Tim? That was disgusting.
That's absolutely beautiful. It was something else, was that? What a flick that was. These two, we're just seeing two teams playing at the very peak of Siege at the minute. It's phenomenal stuff.
You know what really made me laugh as you said that about the flick? I was playing rank the other day with Fresh and Ollie, and Ollie goes, oh, I was a sick flick. And we were like, oh, really? It was in the round replay. Like, yeah, watch this. We watched it, and he must have moved his crosshair about 5 degrees. And we were like, where's the flick? And he was like, that flick there. And I was like, what flick are you on about, Matt?
Is the flick in the room with us?
It's not I mean, that wasn't really a flick.
It wasn't really, but it was just beautiful.
It was beautiful pre-aiming. It was a great strafing crouch as well. Like, wonderful stuff, but still, wow, incredible.
So you're saying it was better than Ollie's kill? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, you could put it that way.
Right, on we go. Falcons on the defense. This is their opportunity. And guess what? They were master in office 2 out of 2 times, but that didn't matter for Virtus.pro. They also did the same during regulation and weren't able to lock it down then. Can Falcons hold on to the top 4? Looking at the lineup that Virtus.pro have got, no major surprises there. Pretty much the same as we have seen from them so far. I'll be honest, I am quite glad there's no Thatcher there.
Yeah. I feel that's like the operator never ban away from Virtus.pro, because you're just getting a small, like, creeping feeling they might troll with it a little bit. It has been avoided, and instead they're saying if you really got to destroy something or take out some gadgets, then we can have Dan do it. Maybe that's why Dan plays Carly so much, is because the Thatcher play isn't so hot. I don't know. But it's more the different use cases here. Of course, Thatcher's changed a lot since he's moved away from throwing, you know, those massive exploding EMPs, and now, of course, has the cannon that he gets to fire. It can disable an awful lot. You know, C4s, players above, you name it. The range on it also being very, very handy. Of course, he doesn't know what gadget is that he's always disabling, but still extremely powerful. So that being taken offline for them here or not being used is maybe going to be a bit of a punishment, but I'll look at the other side and see the operators they've got. Nah, you won't mind too much. You're more worried here about the smoke and the Chanka.
Quickfax just sat cycling through these cams at the minute, putting an IGL on Valkyrie. Seems like you're just asking for trouble for the attackers. He's going to be so aware of this map, so aware of every cam, every corner, every bit of intel, that he's going to be building that plan in his mind and trying to orchestrate his team to deliver the outcome that Falcons are looking for, which is to get this done here and now. They've no interest in around 15. They are going to be challenged by the Monty. Smoke will hold them at bay for the time being, but Users knows that his time on main stairs is up, and it's time to dip back away from that fight. Doesn't want to overstay his welcome. He will continue to hold the Monty at bay for now. No damage done for Naquo so far. He's managed to keep himself out of that danger, but more and more is being thrown towards that position being held by Users.
Nice thing is, Falcons haven't had to expose themselves yet, and we're down to, what, 75 seconds left in the round? Still playing in behind a lot of utility. They've still got, I'd say that's the first Shumaka now coming out. They'll just keep on delaying this all day, every single day. C4 up over the top. As the shield has already stepped on forward, I believe that's Naquo up on main stairs. Yeah, he's actually started his march on forward here, and Pastor gets Leakyfat. Naquo really has just gone larger in charge to forget about your C4, forget about your fire. I'm going up main stairs, whether you like it or not. And this now starts to leave Falcons very exposed. They didn't anticipate that he'd get this far in. At least they've got another line of defense to fall back to, which is, of course, being able to fire off the door or the default plant spot. Rorik underneath, hoping to find someone, but being rewarded with nothing as of yet. Last 35 seconds, 5v4. Virtus.pro have to win this, or it's lights out.
They really needed the Deimos to be dislodging the Tachanka realistically. That's what stopped Naquo putting the plant down. And it's now 5 versus 4 with Doom underneath, looking for that plant denial. If the opportunity presents, Pasha finds Solotov. 5 versus 3. It's all falling apart for Falcons. Naquo is going to go for it. Can Doom be their saviour? Very unlikely. Doesn't. Oh no, he does. He gets one. But they managed to grab the diffuser. 2v2. Pasha's on the plant again, but Doom